What's up? Welcome to SkyFireNews Live. We got all your UFO news that you guys can ask for. I mean, UFO culture. Today's been a crazy one. Red's going to be in here in just a little while, but we got a great show for you guys. I want to thank you guys all for popping in. We got a Twitter audience. We got our YouTube audience. We got some members in the mix. Just thank you guys for being here. I see some people already in the chat. What is up, Stoned Ape? What is up? I just call you TKOs. I think that's the move. So we got TKOs in the mix. Good to see you guys. Fully packed show today, and a lot of really interesting things like on the news, stretching from like actual UFO news from the New York Post to more follow up on the UFO rally that took place in New York, all the way leading up to like some prophecy business. You guys have probably heard about some of this stuff dealing with the red heifers or the red cows that are spreading all over the internet right now, and the eclipse that's cutting through America here in just a week or so, or a couple weeks. A lot of news about that, and it's kind of freaky, so we're going to get into that as well. I see Ghost 915 in the mix. What's up, Ghost? Our guest tonight is actually Jon Majerowski, a well-known person on UFO Twitter, if you guys know, and a really amazing podcaster, really amazing interviewer. Just really good stuff. We got some clips. I want to play a little clip from the show just to kind of like give you guys a intro into what kind of show Jon has and who he has on. In this clip is going to be a really cool dude named Jean-Luc. I think his name on Twitter is Jean-Luc Infini. It's just, the guy has the best threads on anything from esoteric to like old ancient stuff. Anything you want to learn that's not counterculture, but like kind of in the fringe of the stuff about ufology not a lot of people talk about up front, but is definitely in the mix. So there's that. And his other co-host he has on usually is John Warner. And it's John Warner the Fourth is a character in and of himself. And I cannot wait to introduce you guys. One day we'll introduce you guys to both those guys. But for now, we have Jon Majerowski in the mix. I like how all their names too are John. But real quick, here's a little clip to kind of catch you guys up to speed. This I took directly from one of their recent episodes, and it's kind of spicy, but I think it's kind of cool. Let me get this music down, and we'll get into it. Check this out.
I don't know, man. Like, I mean, what are they doing? Are they all like, getting together and putting on robes and dancing around a big fire and stuff whilst they have their soul meeting and stuff? Because it's just crazy to me, yeah, that we're going to call our new organization Soul, and then our representatives are all, talking about Luciferian stuff.
And weirdos, and I mean, Russell Targ's not, but I mean, there were a few people there, but nothing got done.
No.
Well, I thought it was more of a like, let's get academia.
So was the billionaire guy. He was there. What's his name? Brian.
Bigelow? Oh,
not Bigelow.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know. I can't remember what his surname is.
He's a Mormon guy.
This kid's good.
The Skinwalker Ranch guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fugel.
Brandon.
Fugel emailed me and said, you're right about the deep state. They own everything, the law. They own all of Congress, the presidents. They own everything.
That's the kind of cool show that they run. Again, you don't really get to hear a lot about that stuff mainstream. So without further ado, we're going to get Jon Majerowski in the mix, and we also got UFO Shane in the mix as well, and we'll get over to everybody in just a second. But for now, Jon,
well, hey,
welcome to the show, man.
How you doing, my man? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, good, man. Good. Thanks for reaching out, man. It's been rad. I love what you guys are doing. It's been awesome, and thank you, man.
Yeah, you guys have been out you've been doing this for a long time, and a huge inspiration for me.
Oh no,
the way the types of interviews, the guests you guys get, just the style overall is just really cool, really fun, and it's like an original flavor that you don't have in the UFO culture. So,
well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I mean, honestly, believe it or not, I gotta give props to James Ian Doley. In engaging the phenomenon.
He's great.
He's an amazing human, right? And he kind of saw me on Twitter one day, and him and I struck up a conversation and a friendship. And he's like, "Dude, you should really do this." And I'm like, "Man, nobody wants to hear about this." And he was like, "No, do it, man, do it." And so he kind of helped me, man. He literally held my hand, helped me get started, helped me start my YouTube channel, and it was like an inspiration. And he was there for me in the beginning and helped me get it going. He was just like, "Yeah, dude, you have a voice that." That people aren't really looking at the side of, because you're the only guy that's out here who's who's not ashamed, you're saying you're a Freemason, right? And that's a whole different aspect of this whole thing. There's this whole occult thing. There's this whole secret society thing that is intertwined that nobody's talking about. Zero. Nobody's talking about it, but it's there. It's like the undercurrent. So just do it. So I just started, and I often say this, but like, back in the day, people used to get hauled away in vans, like no joke, really. Like legit. If you had a videotape, back if you had a VHS tape back in the day, somebody would show up, knock on your door, and be like, "Hey, give me the tape." If you wanted to fight about it, you might get a ride in the van, and like no joke, it was real, right? So I grew up with that, the 80s, 90s, and then after Tom DeLonge came out, I was like, well, screw it, nobody's getting tossed off of bridges overtly anymore, right? So
no, Tom DeLonge, that's the guitarist for Blink-182 for those who don't know, and he was talking about UFOs forever,
right?
And he was saying that he had access to like people, high level government officials of UFOs, and I mean the guitarist from Blink-182 who sings about like, farting and like we doubted him 100%. And I don't think that we can fault ourselves for doubting him.
No,
but these emails got leaked between him and John Podesta and
the WikiLeaks. The WikiLeaks when that came. I mean, that was just like the nail in the coffin for like I think a lot of the skeptics. It was like everybody thinks he's just talking shit, and then when that comes out, WikiLeaks really nothing to do with him, right? It was the DNC hack, right? Supposedly the Russians, hacked the DNC convention, and all that came out. So everything he was saying the entire time was validated, right? So there he is. There's conversations with him and Podesta, him and
specifically about UAP and like doing this like rollout that he ended up doing. So egg on our face. Sorry, Tom. We thought we were being like giving a healthy skepticism there. But John, I'm glad you brought up the Freemasonry. I didn't want to introduce it because it doesn't. I know that it's like a brotherhood or whatever, but in the UFO world or like the conspiracy community, it's almost like a scarlet letter or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely. And you know what? I'm the first one to say that, man. When I got into it, I was like, I'm becoming a Freemason. I'm just going to tell the whole world everything about it. I'm just going to bust up this whole satanic cult and tell the whole world, right? And once I became a Freemason, it was like you couldn't get any farther from the truth than totally what that was, right? I mean, it was like nothing that you can even imagine is anywhere near that, right? So. What really spurred me on too was during my whole journey through Freemasonry and stuff like that, and of course being involved in ufology since I was a kid, right? I'm not joking. I've probably been doing it for 30 years, and to know that all this stuff was going on, and then later I find out that Tom DeLonge's a Freemason, right?
Yeah,
and then
not a lot of people know that either,
right? And then I'm like, holy shit! So then I know enough people and enough brothers to find out, there's that picture that everybody floats around online, right? Of Tom standing there. Right. And so I know
when you say standing there, you mean like in full Freemason garb? Yeah.
Well, there's a picture of him in a t-shirt and a white apron. Right. So a white, like, I got one back here somewhere, but it's behind me on this thing.
And that's what George Washington had on during the paintings, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just an apron, right? It's a lambskin apron. So there's a picture of Tom DeLonge, lambskin apron, t-shirt, pants, like a couple, 3 other guys that are black guys that are just completely dressed up, like tuxedos, everything in a Masonic lodge, right? And everybody was like, that's photoshopped, that's bullshit. There's an interview that DeLonge did with George Knapp on Coast to Coast somewhere in, 16, 17, like that. And George Knapp comes out and straight up asks him. He said, "Hey, there it is. That's the picture right there. Look at you."
Beautiful.
So,
beautiful, guys.
So
in full, not full, but I mean in Freemason garb.
If I would have to guess, and from what I understand, this was his entered apprentice degree. So this is your first degree when you're going through Masonry. When you go through there's 3 degrees in Masonry, and this was his first degree. So I reached out to a brother.
T-shirt degrey?
No, and that's what's kind of funny because you're supposed to be at least dressed up a little bit, right? So Tom's just Tom, right? So he's rolling. Yeah. Hey, dress up nice. So he puts on a clean T-shirt, right?
Yeah, I like how they're all in suits. Hi, by the way, John.
Hey, what's going on?
Red, man. Job was a little busy, but
Red,
John, love your channel, love your stuff. People don't know, me and John hung out at Last Contact in the Desert with Project Unity.
Yeah,
and Kimball in the chat at the pool.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was a great time, wasn't it? It was awesome to see in person. And just like, that's the coolest part about, this little tiny community we have, it's just be like, hey, what's up? And, we've always been friendly and cool, but just to sit down and have like a real life one-on-one conversation and sit in the pool and just drink some drinks and have fun and, just kick it and just have a great time.
Are you going back this year?
Jay's going to go. Actually, Jay's going to be presenting, believe it or not. Somebody,
he was talking about that.
Yeah, I was excited to see that.
Yeah, he's super stoked. He's going. He's wish I can go along. I got a billion other things going on right now, so or I would go out there. I mean, it was a great time. It's a different dichotomy. That we could do a whole show just on that. I mean, all the stuff. I mean, Red, you were there, right? I mean, just the stuff. We can do a whole show on just Linda Moulton Howell. But
yeah, Shane would love that.
Shane, that was rad just hanging out. But yeah. So I'll put a nail in the coffin on that whole Delonge thing. So like, I really wanted to find out. So I reached out to a bunch of brothers that I know and I trust, and I said, "Can you find out? This is what I got. I did a lot of digging myself, and I'm like, this is a lodge. This is where it's at. Is this true?" And I got a word back was, "Yes, I can confirm that this happened. This happened at this lodge. He was made a Freemason at this lodge on this date in this place." So I was like, sweet, that's awesome, you know? And in that interview with Knapp, you know, he basically said, yeah, I don't want to like tell everybody. And I get where he was coming from there. I mean, but if you look at any of the Angels and Airwaves, their logo basically is a square and compass, right?
And Angels and Airwaves is one of Tom DeLonge's other bands.
Correct. Yeah,
and
that's
it's
his
really
side
etheric,
band.
right? It's kind of like airy. They got it's just a different vibe. It's not punk.
Right,
it's not
right.
punk rock. Yeah.
Right. No, totally. It's like atmospheric kind of. It's really cool, man. It's like really, really anthem. And but yeah, basically their logo is basically a square and compass, the Masonic square and compass.
I have that clip up. Should we listen to it? And should we bring up Shane maybe? This is good Freemason talk. I think he knows about that stuff.
Dude, yeah, let's bring up that clip. Absolutely. Shane's in the mix, and then we'll go for it. And dude, this Freemasonry or the secret society connection to ufology always
is real.
Yes.
At the very least, we can all agree like it's there. That's what I love about your show, John, and people in the chat, especially when you have like John Warner and John Luke. I'm sure it's the same thing. All these weird like secret society connections that all the people have within the UFO circuit, political circuit. You know what I mean? It's very interesting and esoteric and weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. And big props to John Luke and John Warner, right? I mean, those guys are like my best friends, honestly. I mean, we've hung out, you know, I mean, the spots, the things that we do put out are like a sliver of like the actual conversations and stuff we have, you know. I mean, one of the I think the podcast before last we put out, Warner was like, "You were recording that shit?" He was like, "I was in my robe eating lunch," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you know, nobody cares." I'm like, "That's cool." And he's like, "It is probably one of my better podcasts," and I'm like, "Yeah, man. I mean, this is." You know, don't let him lie to you. I sent it to him beforehand, and you know he okayed everything. So it's not like I just whipped it out on him. But yeah,
I saw that. I was like, dude, Warner's super comfortable.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, no, he was going to be here tonight. He's not feeling real well. He wanted to be here, and he sends his love.
We definitely want him on as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring him back on. But no, he's awesome, man.
Let's bring up Shane, and then let's react to this Tom DeLonge clip because it is super interesting what you guys are talking about with Tom DeLonge. How's it going, UFO Shane?
Hey,
welcome.
What's going on, man? You guys hear me all right?
Sound good.
Shadow Realm.
The Shadow
What's up, John?
Realm.
How you doing, man?
How you doing, man? How are you?
Man, I hope to travel to the east as well, brother.
Oh, well, it's there. All you got to do is ask. The be one, ask one, right? That's how that goes for Freemasonry.
I got one person. I need one.
You want to
more,
get initiated like Project Unity UFO, Shane?
Oh, in the pyramid?
You know, well,
that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing.
My bad.
When it comes to the Freemasonry or ancient secret societies, the Freemasons aren't so secret anymore, really. You know, and there's a lot of bullcrap around it. It's just a group of people trying to do good for the society. I know the Freemasons lodge here does a lot of good for the society, but if you follow conspiracies and other stuff, they're just these evil people who know all these things, and it's ridiculous. And they're actually just a group just like anyone else. They're your dads, your fathers, and then you have the what's the name of the female version of the Freemasons?
So you have the Eastern Star, right?
Yeah,
so
the
that's
Eastern
the Eastern Star, right? Yeah.
And I was in an office recently, and she had the Eastern Star on her wall, and I said, "Are you like part of the Freemasonry?" But the women version. She's like, "Oh yeah, my whole family's been a part of it for years, and it's just brought a lot of light to my life." And I'm like, "Well, that's great, you know."
It's super rad.
You know, it gets a lot of bad rep.
Well, let's listen to Tom DeLonge talk about it, and then
man. Let's hear that.
What we're going to cover after that is we're going to get into this eclipse that Shane is actually being pretty affected by, and I'm sure John probably knows. I feel like I've heard people talk about some weird esoteric relations to the eclipse. But,
there's a lot of shit going on with the eclipse.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's get to DeLonge, and then we'll get to that eclipse. And then I don't know if we told the show. There was that Guardian article that went out today about Sean Kirkpatrick. We got the author of that article. He's going to be coming on on the second half of it to kind of talk about that article. And John,
Wow.
Shane, we could all talk about what's going on with this recent Jon Kirkpatrick stuff.
Oh, I'd love to.
Oh, right.
I would love to.
So, firstly, though, to this Delonge clip.
Actually, firstly, smash that like button. All right, go sub to this channel, turn your notifications on, become a member, support what we're doing if you guys love it. Also, go over to UFOs on the Level. All right, follow Jon Majerowski, follow what he's doing, give Shane a follow, guys. This is what we're doing now, so it's great to have you guys here. But yeah, hit that like button. It actually does a lot for the algo. So
it does really, and comment after if you're watching this in the future. All right,
absolutely.
Let me ask you this: I've seen this online. A couple of your fans are downright harsh about what they suspect is your secret interest in the Illuminati or membership in the Freemasons. And I guess they point to Freemason symbology on your guitars. Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah, our fans have noticed that stuff. And we do, there's a lot of that iconography associated with the band Angels and Airwaves. And it's hard to describe. We don't get into our band's very esoteric. We don't get into the descriptions and meanings of a lot of the symbology that we use. We let people kind of find out those meanings through the music and through the ethos of the band, through the pieces of art that we create, like the films, and it's something that we don't really talk about specifically because I think that it's the treasure hunt is there for people to find as they get into the band and look into what it is we're trying to do with the music and with the films.
And is it sort of in part to create an aura of mystery?
Well, I think, I guess in a sense, but I guess the only because I think when there is mystery, it causes people to engage a little bit more. It causes them to a lot more effort to digest what it is we're doing, and so the investment's greater. Because the thing with Angels and Airwaves, this band it's not a normal band. There's a reason and a message behind everything that we do, about the way you look at yourself and the way you look at the world around you. And
okay, we can maybe stop it there, but I feel like he gets into that kind of same sentiment on Rogan and stuff like this, where there is this weird, and this is like right up Tupa's alley, right? He loves talking about the Rosicrucians and stuff, and big Freemasonry and like illuminating man, right? And like they really tie it into this UFO disclosure movement, where some could even say things like the Soul Foundation, right? Maybe that name is maybe implicating more than just the sun, or maybe it means the sun on some, a great example of this, I think personally, is that TTSA did their press conference on the 100-year anniversary of the Our Lady of Fatima apparition. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of shows that like there's this esoteric, culty, but maybe not necessarily in a bad way, but maybe a little bit in a bad way thing underlying a lot of this movement, which I mean should be talked about, right? Danny Sheehan in a way is kind of on that same kind of, it's not just a nuts and bolts, I guess I would say, for a lot of the people out there pushing it. That'd probably be the tamest way to put that.
Yeah, and it's not like to add to more, and I think what Delonge was trying to get at there, and I think if you let that thing play at the end of it, Knapp is really good. Knapp is an amazing interviewer, right? So he just keeps pressing him, and basically he was like, so you're saying you are or you're not? And he's like, well, but basically, yeah, I am. Okay, right. Yeah. So basically he Tom admits it at the end of that clip, honestly, right? But he said, he really doesn't want to give anybody, any more ammo to come after him, because right there you just automatically alienate people. Like we started talking about earlier, it's like when I got into it, it was like, yeah, what are these people doing, right? Are they worshiping the devil? They're sacrificing babies, like all this stuff, right? Are the Illuminati? They run the world. It's like, no, this is bullshit. You're just trying to make the world a better place. You're trying to make the world a better place and everything around it in your immediate vicinity. Anything you can possibly do to help anybody around you, anywhere, right? And I think that's we all should achieve as humans, right?
When people are like, and I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but that's just like the ground level stuff that they do publicly, the Knights of Columbus, but like the higher and higher, when you get to the Lou Elizondo level. Yeah,
you don't know because you're not there yet, because you're not the highest. Yeah, you're not the inner circle. Yeah, that's bullshit. I can tell you that. I can tell you right now, because honestly, because Masonry is a bunch of different groups, right? So like the Blue Lodge is your first 2 degrees. You got Scottish Rite that goes up the other. That's your 32, 2-degree Mason. You got York Rite, which goes up to your Knights Templar and all the other stuff. And then there's other appendant bodies, right? Like I'm a member of the SRICF, which is a Rosicrucian branch of Freemasonry, right? Nobody really knows about it. It's not very big. It's an invite only kind of thing, right? But it's there. You can Google it, right? Go look it up. It's there. It's not something that's like, I'm not big enough to not know what it is. People know what those things are, but it's more of the esoteric branch. There's people that like will become Freemasons that are awesome. You want to do a pancake breakfast? Cool. You want to do that and you want to do anything else? No. But if you want to dig deep, you want to study and you want to meet other guys that are into that whole thing, cool. Then there's a bunch of other guys that are like that, right? That's kind of how it is. There's I give Warner shit all the time. He's like, you're the porch mason. You don't even know. And I'm like, come on.
Oh, is that
Warner.
what he tells you?
Yeah, he busts my balls all the time.
Porch
He doesn't.
mason?
Yeah, he doesn't know, man. It's funny.
Let's prove this point real quick. John and Shane, I feel like you guys both know. Let's list off some of the Freemasons within this movement right now.
Oh wow.
Or people who claim they are Freemasons. Shane.
Just to be clear here, he's talking about Lou Elizondo, John.
Well, but I'm not just even talking about him. I'm talking about Lou Elizondo, Tom DeLonge.
I know Tom DeLonge's a Freemason.
McGowan.
I will tell you that Tom DeLonge has a picture of him literally taking the rite. So that's,
yeah, I mean, so I know Tom DeLonge's a brother. I know that Jeremy McGowan is a Freemason. Okay.
Yeah, and that
Lou Elizondo, I don't know. I've asked, and I've said this before, and I've asked at very high levels, and nobody can confirm to me that he's a Freemason.
A little weird.
Is EB1 a Freemason or?
Well, let's just be clear that it's a little sus that you ask your brothers about Lou Elizondo and they're like, I don't know.
And an important point, I think Jeremy McGowan said the same thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, he definitely did. You know, they were in.
Well, but here's the thing, though. So there's such thing as called a clandestine lodge, right? So
what does that mean?
So in Freemasonry, we all have a charter, right? You have a charter to have a lodge. We all get that charter. So the state of Ohio, right, where I'm at, the state of Ohio is the state of Ohio gives you the charter. Everything goes back to the Grand Lodge, right, of England. Okay, so there's a Grand Lodge of England, for example, that issues a charter, right? So everything is chartered. So you have this charter that says you're allowed to have a lodge, work the degrees, and you pay dues back to the Grand Lodge, and they come and inspect you every year and say, yep, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the actual degrees how they're supposed to be done. You're doing it correctly, how it's supposed to be done all the way through. Now, there's such things as a clandestine lodge, right, where maybe you're doing all of the things that you're supposed to, but you have no affiliation with the Grand Lodge at all, and you're not associated with it. So maybe you're reading it out of a book, or maybe you were instructed correctly in Freemasonry in an actual legitimate lodge, and then decided to branch off and just go in some guy's basement and play dress up, right?
So it's off the books.
Off the books, right? Okay. That could potentially happen. Now, I have a lot of brothers that I've talked to about this. And one of my interviews, and P.D. Newman, a great author, amazing guy, talked to him, and he told me that in Colorado, the intelligence agency was joining Masonry in such droves that it became a problem. Like guys from the intelligence agency, right? The 3-letter agencies. There were so many of them joining lodges. You can go watch the video. It's on my channel, right?
That makes sense. I kind of assumed that they're all up in there, and not even kind of in the same way Mormons are, right?
Yeah, but it was to the point where it was just like, this is going to get ridiculous. And then they started their own lodge. They got their own charter from the state, and then they started their own lodge. So they have like a lodge of just intelligence agency guys, right? In Freemasonry, we're brothers. We keep secrets. It's not secrets. You trust your brothers, right? With things like that. So at that point, you're like, why is it that big of a deal? You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. I can tell you, I've been in there. It's not that big of a deal that the intelligence agencies are going to have to infiltrate Freemasonry to learn secrets.
But John, what about someone who has claimed to lead ATIP, who has claimed all of these things, and they're using a good brotherhood but they're using it not in an honest way.
Well, how about this? Here's a question for both of you. Whether he's lying or not, right? He felt the need to at least tell certain people that. Right? Why do you think that is? He is a kind of a prominent figure. When you take on different identities, you also kind of take on, to a degree, kind of like when I'm not even saying this in a good or bad way, just like what it was when he wore his thin blue line hat, right? That's kind of like making a statement on something else. When you're going around telling people you're a 33rd degree Freemason, what is he trying to do there, you think?
I think he's trying to impress.
You think it's just for the impression?
I think he's trying to impress UFO, like the average conspiracy researcher. I think it sounds like it's like a name drop is what it sounds like to me. Like, because you don't have to. How do you got to qualify that with something? I think it just adds an aura of mystery around you and a little bit of authority around you, perhaps in this field. That's what I think.
I think it adds an aura to people who really don't understand what the Freemasonry is about.
Sure. Yeah, that's yeah. People who are in the dark about it, they see it as like a mystique.
Because like honestly, like the group that exists in my town, and I live in a very 35,000 people. The group that I've been involved with and trying to join because I love the group. They're all about helping the community. They're all about just doing that. They're not about like ancient secret rites or any of this stuff that point or Georgia Guidestones. I mean, these are like things you can talk about, right? They're just groups of people who come together like anything else. But when you look at Freemasonry as how it does with conspiracy bases, it's like, oh, this group knows all these things, and maybe they do. We're gonna have Scott Walter on here, who's a good friend of mine.
Yeah,
and Timothy Hogan, who I haven't talked to yet, but I love like Scott.
Yeah, Scott's a great friend of mine as well. Right?
Yeah, Scott's great. Scott's great. Yeah. And Scott will put his feet in the dirt. He will literally stand back and fight for his beliefs. He's like he's just trying to, and he couldn't even join the Freemasonry. He's so honorable to me that he didn't join the Freemasonry when he was doing his show American Earth because he didn't want to be biased.
Yeah,
and
which was rad. Yeah, I mean, he sat in my living room. We talked about the same thing, man. It's honestly, he didn't want that stigma, and I think that's what Delonge was pushing in that clip too. It's like I don't want that put on me, so that it's another thing that people are just labeling me as, right? Because once you become a Freemason, it's just a big deal. I mean, for me personally, it made me a better man. It honestly made me a better man.
Yeah. And so do you think that's what Lou Elizondo is tapping into when he does that? Maybe just that feeling that you feel of like, I just give more to my community now. I feel like a more wholesome member of society.
And he could, I could be wrong. He could be a Mason, right? Or, maybe he is a member of something that's a little bit more nefarious, right? And so in my research and some of the things that John Luke and I'm not speaking to John Luke,
really,
of research, maybe there's another organization that's out there that lends itself to this sort of, it's the esoteric side of things, but it's not necessarily Masonic, right?
Could this be off the books, or are we talking Rosicrucian? We talking like
what's the other one? Like
I'm just gonna say it. I don't give a shit. I mean, they're gonna come at me. I don't care. But the OTO, maybe he could be a member of the OTO, right?
Peter Lavenda, I believe, is a member of the OTO, right? He's been in documentaries.
Kanye West might be a member of the OTO.
Hold on. You're all saying OTO. Let's give a clear explanation of what the OTO is.
Good job, Shane.
All right, Shane, go ahead.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not a member, but I don't know enough to speak on it. But I know what it is.
Ordo Tempo Aurealis, right? Which is basically a derivative of Aleister Crowley.
There you go.
And I was going to bring up Crowley anyway because we were talking about the mother of or the Lady of Fatima situation, which the Lady of Fatima happened in 1917, right? The Lady of Fatima,
right?
Which was the same year that Crowley contacted Lamb, which is you know what I mean? And it's also right before the end of the World War, and that's World War I, by the way, 1917. Yeah. And so these guys are just really connected with not only world events, right, but cultural events and these technological advancements and spiritual events. But the OTO is from what I can tell from my research,
here we go,
really nefarious, really kind of in entertainment, kind of very sneaky, very I don't mean they're sneaking around, but they're very low key.
Oh, what did you say? What? Red?
Actually, you know what? I don't know if we want that smoke this early on the show.
No. You want You want this show to keep going, don't you? You gotta. Yeah, we gotta. You can't do. What is this, your fifth episode? You can't drop that shit right now, man. No. You know what? I'm not no bullshit. I do IT security for a living, right? So I do information security. And do you guys remember when Anonymous tried to take on them?
Yes.
And do you remember the shit that happened after that?
Yeah, they kind of lost, right? Anonymous.
They were just like, we're out.
Well, okay, and then let's touch on this, and then we'll move on to the eclipse real quick.
Sorry.
Something we've talked about before is
juicy. This is juicy.
Do we want to say let's just say we're not. I mean, Scientology is a thing. It's a real thing.
It is. It's a religion. It's a tax. It's a tax. Non-taxable religion
that has UFO lore, and I'm not talking about Xeno. I'm talking about 50s wave stuff.
Yeah.
In their belief system,
they do.
On the Sea Org, they all have to read Jim Marrs. Books. Which
are you shitting me? I didn't know this.
No, that's I watched a bunch of ex-Scientology YouTubers. and they have to read Jim Marrs' books, who is also the same person who Tom DeLonge says everyone should read.
Yeah, and you know what? Believe it or not, Jim Marrs kind of got me down this rabbit hole when I was young, when I kind of got into this thing. But Jim Marrs wasn't a Scientologist.
He was, but apparently
a closet Scientologist?
Not a closet.
He was off the books.
He was fully aware. That
he was with Lou Elizondo and his fucking.
He would take money for it. But that's
what? Are you serious?
Yeah, them as a belief system, they're actually really tuned into a lot of the conspiracy side of reality, if you will, because like UFOs are a thing, right? And they've kind of been talking about this for years. But the point I was making is you don't see any of them in the modern UFO movement. You'd kind of expect to see.
Oh, you see them.
Exactly. Like they're not
you
overt.
See them.
Exactly. Yeah.
You see them. They're probably commenting and shit right now.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Shane? There's a weird shadow. And it's not controlling everything, but there's definitely people who I feel like are not upfront with that fact that they're Scientologists in this field.
I've been following this as a true believer for a long time, and then I am not a true believer anymore. And
true believer in what, Shane?
Like in just what people were selling me, right? Like what people were telling me what I needed to believe, and I'm not sure why I think my camera's like messing up or something.
No, it looks good on you, man. Looks good.
Okay, good.
Also,
okay.
Pause. I'm just going to send the link because that guy's ready to him, and maybe he'll hop on with us for the.
I really.
But finish up, Shane. But just FYI.
I really think that secret societies are important, and they've existed for a long time. If you talk to Timothy Hogan, or you talk to Scott Walter, they'll tell you that there's been groups of people that have been with ancient knowledge for years. And I think that there are people that hold these rights to try to bring manifestation of glory to humanity. They're trying to save knowledge. They're trying to do good things. But for every good, there's a bad, like the OTO, right? Like there's bad things happening too. And the more public things are going to be the people that get called out for the bad things. And when it comes to really like what's going on, I really don't know. I think we're focusing a lot on on Freemasonry, which I love. And but we're not focusing too much on these groups that are hidden in the darkness that are doing evil things. I really don't know what's going on. I just know that I've experienced random paranormal things, so I know it's real. I know it's real.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody has, man. And you know, that's the reason I got into this, right? You know, I wouldn't be in here doing this shit if I didn't have paranormal experiences as well. I mean, there's a lot of people that are out there that that want to have it, that do have it, and you know what? Sometimes when you have it, you don't want it after that. Sometimes it scares the shit out of you, and then you just don't want to have that experience. But there's a lot of people like me who you got to find the answer. At least you want to try. At least it puts you in a position where you got to try to figure it out. And then look for it everywhere.
I think,
and then
John,
it is everywhere.
And then it is.
I think, John, that if you live your life right, and it's kind of like it's like winning the lottery in a weird way. The paranormal that happens to you is like it's very rare. I think it's very rare. What the thing that happened to me happened on the day I buried my mom, and then I watched a cabinet door unlock itself with the wrong key. Watched a toy helicopter that had never worked levitate 10 feet across the room, and I watched 6 red balls of Latinus light manifest in front of my face and spin in a circle and disappear. But I stared right at it. I wasn't scared of it. But I'd always said that if I ever saw anything, I would do my best to look at it. But it happened on the day I buried my mom. And that spiritual connection, it's like a lot of things like that had to do with my emotional level.
Yeah.
And people will always tell you, like they've told me, like, oh, it was your mom showing you this. It was this thing. I don't know if it was any of those things, but what I do know
is it happened.
Right. Something that I have lived on this earth for 36 years of my life. And I went through public school systems and I read books and all this stuff. And I was never told that this could ever happen. And boom, it happens.
Isn't that wild?
It is. And, You know what? Here's the thing, Shay, man. Like, I've been right there with you, dude. And that's a huge thank you for sharing your experience, man. But I've been through this in my whole life too, and I've met people that are like closest friends for a long time that wouldn't share with me shit until it was just one-on-one. People have the stigma has been so strong, right, for so long that I would wager to say that the majority of people have had experiences that just don't want to talk about it. Because of the stigma, they want to shut it down. I would say there's more people that have had experiences than not. I honestly believe that.
I would agree with that.
honestly believe that.
Hypnotic regression on everyone, I feel like we'd be really scared of the numbers we'd get back.
We also
of, like people that just don't remember any of it. You know,
100%. But I don't think we also have a good like lexicon of what the phenomena is.
No.
So like it almost gets down to a point like when you
agree.
You know what I mean? Like you hear things like the Bledsoes just did a episode on this on their podcast. The idea that the message is in the music, right? This idea that like through our human artistic endeavors, we might be given inspirations from external sources, and so like technically any creative effort might actually have been influenced by something that might be an experience in and of itself. So the gradient between experiencer and not is actually really big. Like it's a really big fade, and I don't think that we haven't really encompassed that. Like it's almost a question of what it is to be human. You know,
but I think the greatest part about now is that things like this, what we're talking about, and things that have been going on at least since 2017. Before that, for sure, there's the pioneers that are out there doing it, but they're basically paving the way for people to have the conversations we're having without fear of stigma. Of being you know, talked down to or being ostracated, you know. I mean, one of my best friends, you know, Patricia Avant, right? She made a whole film called Black People Do See UFOs. Okay, you know why? Because
I think I heard of this one.
Yeah, check it out, man. She did this thing. She's like, you know what? I see these things. I have all these films. This shit happens to me all the time. I walk outside. I'm on my camera. She's like Dorothy, Black Dorothy Azat. Yeah, I'm not joking. Yeah, she's amazing, right? Wow. She's an amazing woman. She's an awesome lady, and she said that as soon as I came out in my community and started saying this, I was ostracized. I was put away. Like this is the crazy lady, right? This is the crazy lady, and I asked her, you know, and it's in my podcast. You can check them out. I'm like, well, why? Like, what is the deal? She's like, I have a lot of shit to deal with just being a black woman as it is. I walk outside. I could get shot just for being black. I can do this. I got to worry about rent. I got to worry about this shit. She's like, I may see something in the sky, and I'm paraphrasing. She's like, it must be the beautiful thing that you've ever seen. It's beautiful. She's like, but what is that going to do for me to get me out of the situation I'm in right now? She's like, why the hell do I give a fuck about a UFO?
What's the practical application of this information? Dude?
She's like, as soon as I tell somebody, it's going to make everything worse for me. And I've already got it worse. So why the fuck should I tell anybody? You know what? And I never in my life thought about it in that regard. So I'm like, why is there not that representative in this community? Because of that. And, you know, she helped me understand that. And she's like one of my best friends. She's an amazing lady, you know? So just getting everybody's experiences and just looking at that from the stigma, just from our regular everyday white bread bullshit to that, you know, I mean, it's
and John, you mentioned Dorothy Izat, dude, like we're going to do a deep dive in Dorothy, like Izat case. It is crazy, but you also mentioned things in the sky. So we got,
we got some things in the sky.
We're going to go to the other one
first. Look who we got in the back here. We got Danny Lavelle, the author of the Guardian article.
Danny Lavelle, dude.
First, right?
Well, okay. Just real quick. I would like to double down. I would like to double down what John said, and I agree with everything he said.
Thank you, Shay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, by the way. And it was a beautiful experience about your mother, and I apologize.
Another thing that really brings us in our current existence that brings us together is interconnectivity.
Yeah, you're right.
Through the internet, through things. You know, I've gone, dude. I have had copies printed out from the Freemason Lodge here in Little Rock, Arkansas. On George Van Tassel, I have gotten to read a lot of his flyers that he would send out to the believers in Big Rock or Giant Rock, whatever you want to call it. But back then you had to do that once a month. But now we can do things like this. We can talk immediately, like me and Sam and Panda and you, John. We can talk immediately right now. This is the one thing that did not happen then.
Yeah, but you know, big props to the people in the 50s. You ever seen the pictures of George Van Tassel in the 50s where there'd be like 300 cars in the middle of the desert? Like these sweet, you know, like 300 cars in the middle of the desert around a rock.
John, do not even get me started on how much
I'm sorry, man. I completely agree with you, man. Yeah, thank you.
But
and you know what?
That is the one thing, though, John. Yeah. Is that we're, you know, like back then you had to release a monthly flyer and you got to people and they got to understand you.
Right.
But now we can do something immediate. Now, and you can share your experiences regardless of how crazy they may seem to people. And I have people tell me crazy stuff all the time. I'm like, this is whack. But
isn't it weird that you become the guy? Because like I'll get calls all the time, like, dude, go look west. I'm like, yeah, that's Venus. You know, like I'm like the clearinghouse, right? I'm like,
yeah, I get it a lot.
You got Panda. You guys get Tupa. You guys get that stuff. Or your friends just call you and like, hey man, did you guys see this thing? Like, yes.
Every time they see a conspiracy TikTok,
anything, like, dude, you know about this?
Dude, the aliens in the mall in Miami, dude, I was getting blown up.
Oh
dude.
my
like, what is this about?
My wife came to me with that one. She's like, did you see the alien? I'm like, listen, no. By
the way, SkyFireNews had the best coverage of the Miami alien case. I called them all and had to figure out if it was
and you know what? Thank you guys. Thank you, SkyFireNews, for being so rad. Seriously.
You know, we had to do our part.
You know what? You guys did it. And, you know, big props. If you guys are not following SkyFireNews, just go click like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, hit all of that stuff. Follow them. Follow Shane. Follow me if you want. There's a bunch of weird shit that I do.
I would also like to say that I am the skeptic here. Like, I literally am the guy that will just trash people all the time. It's crazy. But
Shane, you are the resident skeptic. Now, real quick,
I've known Jon for
Shane,
months.
we have a guest in the green room. We got to get him on stage real quick because we don't know how much time he has. And this is breaking news, guys. This is actual news. It's Danny.
Look at that bumper. Look at that bumper.
All right, and
that bumper was good, man.
You know, I think I'm gonna share the article. Welcome, Danny. How's it going?
Hey, Danny.
You don't have your picture. I guess we'll just leave you small for now. But how's it going today? We have your article.
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I would have shown up with my video, but I live in the mountains up here, so the internet's really shite. So
what is it? What is it like 3 a.m. where you're at too? What time is it where you're at?
What time is it now? 1:45 in the morning.
There you go. Well, thank you for being here, dude.
For real.
Oh wow. Right. Dude, yeah, thank you. I didn't realize it was so late. Thank you. Yeah, your article caused some waves. It's in many ways you did what the headline said Kirkpatrick did. So the headline, we'll just read it. He quit heading the Pentagon's UFO office. Now a report of his has shaken up ufology. Sean Kirkpatrick has faced threats for his work, and a new report concluding no evidence UAPs represented extraterrestrial tech has sent ufology into a tailspin. So, of course, you talked to Sean Kirkpatrick. What got you interested in UFOs, and what was it like talking to Sean Kirkpatrick?
Well, when the CIA approached me in 2017 and asked me to be a shill for the Pentagon, I went,
whoa. I just was going to stop you there, but you just kept going with it. So when the CIA approached you in 2017 and asked you to be a shill, that's how you started that conversation. I just want to rewind that. That's exactly what you said, right?
That's what I said, and that's on record now for all of you.
Heard it here first.
Mazel tov.
No, unfortunately, that's a load of bollocks. What happened was UFOs wasn't really on my radar. I mean, I was a huge Star Wars fan, and I liked Alien, and you know, I think aliens are cool, just like everybody else. Well, anyone who's decent, right? But I didn't really give it a second thought until the New York Times article came out about glowing auras and the leaked videos. And then what really got me was when Obama was asked point blank on like a late night show, I think it was James Corden, and he just went, yeah, there's things up there and we don't know what they are. And I was just like, what the fuck? So it just like, my frame of reality completely changed, and I got hooked and drawn into it.
Did you have an experience yourself at any point before this, or?
No, I've never had a close encounter or seen a UFO, no.
No, hey, families, or close families or friends or anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
I mean, that's cool.
For the audience, let's just show that Obama clip real quick, too. Because I do remember this clip, too. This was a powerful...
So this is what got you, though. This is what really got you was Obama right here?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that it took like an authority figure to sway me.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, it's a powerful thing.
It's like Barack Obama, man. It's like, wow.
Yeah. So let's listen to it.
Yeah.
There's some things I just can't tell you on air.
CNN video about it. Might actually be good.
This is CNN. Look at this.
With beats too.
They tease us. They're gonna show it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to.
Yeah, they will. You got to get Corbell in there.
Oh yeah, you got to win.
Like they put it on Reggie
They better
Watts.
show this clip.
Reggie Watts.
I know that doesn't necessarily mean aliens. It is just a UAF. But I was wondering if you have a theory about that.
When I came into office, I asked, right? I was like, all right, is there the lab somewhere where we're keeping the alien specimens in spaceship? They did a little bit of research, and the answer was no.
Always no.
I'm not a body language expert, but if you look down to the right,
no, there's
footage.
This is the part right here. This is the part that got everyone excited when
this is it. Yeah.
But real quick though, who would not become president and be like, "Hey, I went through all the caucuses and all this stuff. Where are the aliens at?"
Exactly. But yeah, let's watch. This is the clip. This is the clip.
Answer was no.
After this whole thing here, watch it.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. People still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is. But I have nothing to report to you today.
Okay.
Yeah, that line in the middle there's things that we can't explain, blah, blah, blah. That's like fodder for all this stuff. Fodder for me too, for sure. But yeah, so that's when you got into it.
That's when that clicked for you then, right?
Yeah, it really did, because this is not just anyone saying it. It's the former leader of the free world saying it. And no offense to anyone who supports Trump, but it weren't him. It was Obama. He's quite a sensible guy. I don't know. That's no comment on his politics, but he's quite a sensible, suave human being. And yeah, like it or not, that swayed me a bit. So then I dug into it, and then I started to look at abduction stories, because what really got me interested in that was the mental health side of it. Because even if there's rational explanations for being abducted, like night terrors or sleep paralysis or just hallucinations, it leaves the victims with very real traumas. So I just wanted to maybe extinguish some of the stigma from that topic and give these people a fair hearing, considering that we're giving UFOs and aliens a fair hearing. So I really wanted to do it from that angle. I think that reputation might have suffered a bit today because of.
So you're kind of pro UFO. It sounds like, in a way. I mean, it's what do you actually think about the phenomena after everything you've looked at since you've gotten into it? And then we'll get into your article, which, as we were talking about, a lot of reaction today, a lot of anger, a lot of hate. I think that's what you're playing off on in the middle, right? A lot of people calling you a shill, that you're working for Kirkpatrick. Yeah. So what do you think about the UFO phenomena? And then we'll get into the article.
So what are my actual thoughts about it all? Right. Well, look, I think you've got naval pilots, a lot of them saying they see peculiar objects that behave in ways that they can't explain or defy the laws of physics. And I think we have to take note of that. And I do take it seriously. I do think it's a serious topic. And look, it's a mathematical certainty that extraterrestrial intelligent life will exist out there. There's just too many planets, too many solar systems for that not to be the case. We know that just based on probability. But the vast distances in space obviously give me pause. They would have had to have figured out a means of travel that we're currently not aware of. So maybe wormholes or, like warp speed or something like that. But as far as seeing a smoking gun, I don't think we've seen that yet. We've seen interesting videos, but they're kind of all grainy and out of focus. We've heard interesting stories, but again, they're just stories. There's no solid evidence there. But I remain open-minded, and I don't think it's a frivolous topic at all.
Well, yeah, you said a couple of different things here that I wanted to point out. One of the things is you said naval pilots, and you're completely correct on that. Everybody that's coming out and talking about any of this stuff is from the Navy. Yeah. Just wanted to point that out. Have you talked to anybody from the Air Force?
Yeah, I spoke to Ryan Graves. I don't think he's seen a UFO himself, but he was there on the ship when it happened.
Right. Ryan Graves did not see a UFO himself. I just want to say that out loud.
No, he didn't.
He did say he did, but then
did he say he did? I thought he always kind of brushed up again.
Heavily
I love
implied.
Ryan Graves, by the way.
I'm not sure about Ryan. Ryan went down to Mexico and was part of Jaime Lozano's whole thing.
No, I think he got railroaded into that. I think he was there and they just dumped that shit on him.
Yeah, they paid for him to have a good week, and
he did.
But I just want to just point out that the Navy is pushing this and not the Air Force. One of the things that you said, and then it's great that you're keeping an open mind, and that's good. Speaking with Kirkpatrick, I'm sorry, Red, I mean, you can take this away from me at any second you want to, but speaking with him, how did you feel? As far as his candor, answering your questions, is speaking like we're speaking now. How did you feel as him as a human?
He's quite a dry bloke. I don't think he's ever smiled in his life. But that's precisely what you want from your intelligence officials, don't you? You don't want them to be like James Bond. So he's probably a relief that they're quite dull people. But that's not fair to him. He's obviously a very bright guy, and I'm sure he's just uncomfortable with journos. I'm sure he's a riot around his family and friends.
Well, I think that's what we used. I think that's what we used to be used to. But I would rather people would just be more real. Like, just come up and just tell me exactly what's going on.
But he is real though, Shane. Maybe that's him. Maybe that is him.
It might be. It could be.
That is him.
Honestly, but I wish they would have passed that law where everyone in the U.S. that was lobbying for something had to have a patch, on their shirt. Like, hey guys, we need to
NASCAR.
Like NASCAR. We need to start fracking, guys. Like, this guy's sponsored by Pennzoil though, so he's gonna want to frack.
It's interesting you said that because everyone's, like I said, calling you a Kirkpatrick shill, but it's like you don't even have you're like he's kind of boring.
Guys, real quick, guys. No, our audience might not know what we're talking about. So we have yet to introduce who Kirkpatrick is, why this is interesting at all, and how important it is that we have this article writer, this journalist right here, right now. It's as huge.
This is you.
Kirkpatrick was he was basically the government's UFO hunter. It was a program called AARO, AARO. They recently released a report summing up all of their research about the UFO topic from a government standpoint. A lot of people were waiting on pins and needles for it, but when it came out, it kind of fell flat for the UFO enthusiasts because Kirkpatrick doesn't buy into what he calls a inner circle kind of core group of storytellers. He wanted the science, he wanted the facts, and that's what he was looking for. What he was sent, though, from the UAP activist circle was Lou Elizondo, Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, and probably a lot more people from this inner circle. Those three names, David Grush, those four names you're going to want to look into. They're very important in the UFO topic because they're the whistleblowers. They're the scientists who are backing up anything from teleportation to different types of energy production from this kind of stuff. It's like deep. And Kirkpatrick, again, the government's UFO hunter, he wasn't buying into it. And when he stopped, people got wind. When I say people, I mean UFO enthusiasts, fanatics, UAP activists, people on the boots on the ground who are really, really going for disclosure, and they think the government's holding it back. They got wind that Kirkpatrick was not vibing with them early on, and they began a campaign to kind of what seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, to kind of bully or intimidate Kirkpatrick into playing ball, which doesn't really bode well as a ufologist for us. Kirkpatrick began to talk about this, and as the more he talked about the harassment and the treatment he was receiving, the more it happened. Yeah. The worse it got, especially if you're on Twitter. It got or X. It got really bad. So recently, just today, an article, which is one of many articles.
Well, real quick, let's play a clip of him talking about that harassment because it is kind of
it's very poignant,
and it's poignant because I believe the author of this article is probably feeling a little bit of the heat. Kirkpatrick's
and I can only imagine what your desktop looks like. It's just full of all these. Immediately, I literally, I worry for your mental health.
No, he is the Matrix.
You must have stood up. That is helping advise.
This is back in October.
So they're just questions about that group. What is it made up of? Are these people from outside government? Is this that academic and scientific community you just referenced?
So it's a strategic technical advisory group. They don't like to be called senior. And they actually do work. They're the review board for, the analytic framework consists of multiple layers of review, and they're one of the layers of review. We don't give out names and identities of anybody associated with this office other than me and a handful of very specific people, because of the fact that the harassment and the threats that are attendant to our ability to do this job. And I know we had the same problem with the NASA panel. I'm not going to subject my team to that. I have some of the best professionals on the face of the planet working some of this. But I'm not going to subject them or their families to that kind of harassment that is making our job a lot harder. I've had people try to dig up information on my wife, my child, where I live, make threats, send harassments. That's not called for.
And what is the claim? Is the claim that you're evil because you haven't said what they want you to say about the sources of these anomalous sightings?
That's a great way of saying it, but I would put it a different way, right? I told everybody when we stood up, I would follow the data wherever it led. Mm-hmm. That means you have to follow the data and the evidence where it leads. If you don't like where it leads, don't call me a liar and then come after me.
So let me give a little bit more backstory on this real quick. And then there's another clip about the harassment where he talks about someone going to his house, and then we'll get back into the article. So as Tupa said, this guy was running the government UFO program that was created by Congress, investigating UFO reports. So these past year and a half, there's been whistleblower legislation, right? And people have been going to Arrow, this office. And basically, when he first came on scene, people were really excited, hoping he might get to some truth, especially within the UFO believer community, right? But as time went on, he was kind of leaning more on the prosaic side of a lot of these cases, even so far as the Gimbal and Go Fast and Tic Tac, which Danny here spoke to Ryan Graves, who was he didn't witness those videos, but he was part of the flight group or something like that saw them and has been an advocate for that. So, and as Tupa said, when Kirkpatrick wasn't kind of doing what I think everyone on stage is fully aware of, this kind of subsection of UFO believers that are quite fanatical, he started becoming the catch of the day, which in many ways, some of us have all been the catch of the day at some point of this fanaticism. Yeah, John, you've been the catch of the day. What caused
I've been the
you
catch
of the day?
We don't have the time for that, but ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. I wanted to say that at one point I want to bring this up, and I may be wrong, but I think I'm right on this. Is that Kirkpatrick was 18 months from retirement when he took the Arrow position. I think he was really close to retirement, and they slotted him in there, and I don't think he wanted to. But I think he wrote a paper 18 months before that, a year before that, which was talking about the prevalence of the possibility of extraterrestrial life in the universe. I'll dig that up. I could be completely wrong, but
I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. But yeah,
he co-authored a paper with Avi Loeb about the Oumuamua asteroid.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I think somebody would like this. Hey, you're going to retire in a little bit. You're going to do this shit for right now.
Well, and because that's the thing, when he first came on, within the community, people were hopeful, because I think I can remember that being in the zeitgeist, and he wasn't debunker, bro, right off the gate. And this is something I want to talk about on this show, especially with Danny here and John and Tupa, of course, and Shane. This subsection of this culture, I feel really just turns people off, and rightfully so.
Yes.
Let's get to this other clip that was covered
in the form of harassment.
This is, I believe, where he talks about someone showing up at his house.
And this is a SkyFire clip.
This is a SkyFireNews clip.
Look at that good-looking clip.
Look at this guy.
Right before the report came out, Kirkpatrick did a really big press tour, which I guess you could say Danny's also kind of caught up in on the other end of the report coming out.
Yeah, could you call it the farewell tour? Could you call it the farewell tour?
Thank you. I think.
Hold on. We're getting a lot caught up into all this.
Well, I think let's let Danny say something.
Yeah, sorry, Shane.
Well, hold on.
This is why I was catching a lot of flack today, because I conflated someone turning up at his house with someone hacking in, breaking into his online accounts.
Okay.
And that got mixed up in my original copy, and it made the headline, which I corrected myself, but people were like, "Oh, you've been caught out and now you've had to change it." Well, no, I caught it before anyone noticed it, and you wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't have corrected it, unless Kirkpatrick himself got in touch and wanted to correct it.
So okay, so I'll give it to us one more time. So you corrected yourself.
The headline wrong initially.
The headline was wrong.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you usually get to look at copy before it goes out, but it got rushed through today, and I made an error, and I only saw it when it got published, so I amended that as soon as I saw it, because I just obviously made a mistake when I was writing it up.
And the mistake, Danny, was that in Kirkpatrick's story, he said that he was having people trying to break into his online accounts and his family's online accounts, and that someone showed up to his house.
Well, let's play the clip, though, because I honestly kind of think the initial thing is kind of fair. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, too. I mean, okay, let's listen to the clip of how he describes what happened with a UFO fanatic.
Did the strong feel...
And we'll see if the title is too much or not too much.
Did the strong feelings on either sides of the issue come home in a personal way for you? Were you ever subjected to harassment?
Absolutely. That came home a number of times, not only to me, but to other people associated with the office, in the form of harassment and threatening letters. I even had some guy show up at my house. It makes it very difficult to do this job.
When you say a guy showed up at your house, what was that about?
That was early on, right, after I got announced, and the FBI did a great job of swinging into action, tracked this guy down. I was told, because I never had to confront him, that he was an emotionally disturbed person that had showed up on my property and had stayed there overnight and was just waiting. And unfortunately, my wife came across him, so that was a bit unnerving, but they got him and arrested him.
And how was it for your staff?
This is a point of contention with the public and with Congress that I have refused all the way up to my last days to provide names of people working on my team and my staff to anyone outside of the department. And the reasons for that are safety and security and privacy, right? That has added fuel to the conspiracy fire. We got letters at the Pentagon all the time. We get emails all the time. And of course, in social media, I get beat up often.
Because there's a narrative out there that the Pentagon really has secret information that it's not revealing. Is that the principle?
So, unfortunately, my wife came across it after I...
Let's listen to the part about the guy again, and then we'll go right to the headline. And chat, put if you agree or disagree with the initial headline is representative of what was described here.
I got announced, and the FBI did a great job of swinging into action, tracked this guy down. I was told, because I never had to confront him, that he was an emotionally disturbed person that had showed up on my property and had stayed there overnight and was just waiting. And unfortunately, my wife came across him, so that was a bit unnerving. But
okay, so that's what was described. Ufologists tried to break into my home for telling the truth. I feel like that staying at someone's property overnight, trespassing on even if it's just their yard, like, I don't know. I think that's a pretty fair headline.
I mean, one could argue that he broke into his property if he's trespassing, but I mean, I accept it's not strictly accurate. But the thing is, I corrected it. So if I am a shill working with him to peddle this line, then why did I correct it?
I don't think the majority of people think that about you, Danny. I think that it's this might reflect and might confirm or serve to confirm Kirkpatrick's original statements that there's a core group of individuals who are kind of making people's lives hell. And and I would call them UAP activists. I noticed that after you posted your article, there was pretty popular accounts online that were straight up like writing the retraction, writing letters to the editor and allowing people to copy and paste that directly over as if
was it Gary Nolan, right?
Yeah,
Friend
like let's all hit up this.
Wait a minute, is that true?
I was quite mean to Gary Nolan just a minute ago because I just had my final straw moment. So.
Oh, really?
Let's get ready to rumble!
Oh, shit. Let's do it.
Do it.
Let's do it.
Napster. Let's get it. I'm gonna try and find this. I'm gonna have to go on my burner account. I think. Burn it. Screenshot this.
Burn
it. I'm not.
No, listen, Danny. This really happened with Gary. Gary Nolan was like DMing you, giving you shit.
Well, he messaged me saying, did you get the evidence from Kirkpatrick that he'd proved what his claims were? And I said, how would I do that, Gary?
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, Gary.
And I said, see Russell's teapot. It's not that difficult. And then he tried to explain Russell's teapot to me. Said it was like sixth form kind of grade school bullshit, petulance. And then explained to me wrongly, I might add, that even if you make a negative claim, you've still got to kind of substantiate it. Like the burden of proof is still on me. Even if you say fairies are at the bottom of the garden, I still have to prove you wrong, do I? Well, no, I don't, Gary. You know what,
Danny? That should happen to me. And I'm nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You're a dude that writes articles for major papers. I'm just a guy on Twitter. That shit happened to me.
Just real quick.
With that guy, with Gary Nolan.
Shane, make your point, and then let's hear John. What happened with John and Gary?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Shane, make your point real quick, and then let's get to John.
Look,
on me. Sorry. Oh no, go on.
No, I'm sorry, Danny. I saw your post and I retweeted it because I was like, hey, look, this guy's trying to tell you the truth of what he's seen in this matter. He's getting attacked by these cult followers. Listen to what Kirkpatrick had to say. Listen to how he said it. I remember when this community, the UFO community, loved Kirkpatrick. Oh, he's going to be here. And he comes out and says,
"He was the people's
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it as I'm being told how I need to see it, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all." And then everyone is posting memes of him. They're camping out on his lawn. They're attacking his family. All these things, but really, regardless of all of that. That clip that Red Panda played first was a dude just sitting there going, yeah, man, I came into this. I was going to follow the evidence where it led me. It didn't lead me where everyone wanted it to lead me to go. And now I'm getting attacked.
Yeah,
that's called being in a cult. That's called and I'm not here to, I am not the guy. I have zero nuance, Danny. I have zero. It doesn't exist.
Me too, brother.
And I didn't know you, Danny, before today, to be fair with you. I wish I did. And you should keep doing what you're doing. And I honest to God, remember when Kirkpatrick came out, and I remember when Sawan, of all people, was like, oh, Kirkpatrick's going to give us the truth. And then as soon as he didn't, Sawan attacked him personally.
Dude, Sawan claims he was the guy he was talking about at the NASA hearing. He was like, he was proud of it when that happened that day. Just for the room, when NASA had their first ever hearing on UFOs, like 3 of the 8 speakers, actually might have been 4, spoke specifically about harassment coming from the UFO community.
Yeah, because
look, as a human, as a person, as just a fellow person living here, listen to what Kirkpatrick said in the first clip Panda played. He's laying back. He's like, listen, I wanted to just find out what the truth was. I followed the evidence, and it didn't lead me to where people wanted it to go. But the truth does not give a crap what you believe.
Right.
The truth is just the truth. And maybe he's being misguided, but you will never have. You know what? Arrow was more public than ATIP ever was. It's more public. ATIP, in my opinion, didn't even exist. But these UFO things, they're not. They weren't telling you these things, And so, just look at what he had to say and how he said it. If you are working for the military, I automatically don't trust you, to be fair, because I don't trust my government at all. And you probably shouldn't because they killed JFK. But that's my opinion. I'm just saying, listen to how he's really saying it. He's like, hey, I got told, hey, man, go do these things, do these projects.
And if you had 18 months before you had to retire and somebody's like, listen, you're not going to get your pension unless you do this shit.
Yeah, exactly, man. And he's like,
I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
all right, I guess I'm going to do it, right?
But I have been told time and time again, oh, we never trusted Kirkpatrick. That's a lie. You did.
Yeah. Of course they did. The UFO lobby couldn't have asked for a better investigator, really. This is a guy who co-authored a paper with Avi Loeb claiming that an interstellar, potentially extraterrestrial spaceship careened through the solar system.
That's what I was talking about. I was excited. I was like, this is the guy. This is the dude.
This is the guy, yeah.
This is the guy.
I talked to Avi today.
Look, Tupa. I talked to Avi today.
It was random, but I talked to him in space. We have
He's
a post
lovely
coming
guy,
out.
isn't he? Lovely bloke.
He's a love. Muzzle tough. He's just great. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Red, you're muted. Don't know if you know, but real quick, Red, you said something.
I was riffing hard.
You want to go again? Because I want to do something that you said. Like,
let's read some of this article because there's a quote that really stuck out to me that we covered on Skyfire. We made a whole little thing about it.
I want to get to the Gary Nolan exchange,
and then we're gonna get to Jon Majerowski's Gary. Okay, let's just
that's a thing. Daniel, I'm happy that you and I have had this experience. I feel bad, but I'm sorry that we can share notes.
Well, real quick, there's this quote where Sean Kirkpatrick that you got. It says, "I've had people threaten my wife and daughter and try to break into our online accounts. Far more than I ever had as the Deputy Director of Intelligence for the U.S. Strategic Command."
How is that possible? How is that fucking possible?
I didn't have China and Russia trying to get on me as much as these people are.
How is that possible?
Is more unhinged and pervasive within somebody who was like literally running operations around the world and stuff.
Listen, I do information security for a fucking living. And if Russia and China are not fucking with Kirkpatrick as much as the UFO community, there's something fucking wrong.
Weird. I think it ties into maybe some of the stuff we were talking about.
Really, really wrong. And I can't say that without, like, if I've had a banner here, there is something severely wrong.
Well, that's when you talked about NASA, I mean, we need to really think about this, guys. NASA, when they gave their very first UFO hearing, 4 out of 8 of the panel speakers spoke about the harassment they were receiving. One of those people was Nadia Drake, the granddaughter, I think, of the guy who came up with the Drake equation.
Yeah.
She comes out and she goes on an
interview. Play the clip? I have the clip.
Find the clip, dude. She goes on an interview and she's asked by a UFO podcaster, friend of the show, that hey, where's this harassment coming from? And
she starts naming names.
She names the places, and you're gonna find out that it's not just like, oh, it's coming from 4chan or some weird forums. No, she names exactly who it's exactly.
It's coming from Twitter,
dude. On UFO Twitter, there are multiple UAP activisms or activists and activist programs.
Bots.
Something's going on, guys.
Agents.
Okay, let's watch this. This is Nadia Drake, daughter of Frank Drake. And it shows clips of the NASA panel as well.
We had the NASA live broadcast a couple of weeks ago as we record this now.
Hello, good morning, and welcome. My name is Dan Evans, and as the designated federal official,
I'm sorry, I
identified anomalous phenomena, independent study.
He's nervous as shit. Look at him.
He's to order and introduce the panelists. In the back row, we have Nadia Drake.
The first speaker will be Dr. Nadia Drake.
I'm Nadia. I am a scientist by training. I'm also a science journalist now, and my job is to try and synthesize the information that we've learned so far.
Disappointingly, though, but not unsurprisingly, it opened with a mention of the abuse that had been aimed at the panel.
It's disheartening to note that several of them have been subjected to online abuse due to their decision to participate on this panel.
I really do want to double down on Dan's words that it is really disheartening to hear of the harassment that our panelists have faced online.
Look at her hands messing with her ring. You see her hands doing this?
I've also been subject to lots of harassment, especially coming out of my last hearing.
And I'd like to ask, though, where was the abuse coming from? Did it seem to come from the UFO community? Was it scientific community? Just your standard online troll?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think what I can say, and I don't want to violate anyone's privacy, is that there were criticisms coming from within the science community. Really just questioning.
I'm gonna just pause real quick for fair use. I like that Andy, friend of the show, tried to was it coming from the scientists? Was it coming from the academic community? We all know exactly where it was coming from, but let's listen more.
And why people were spending their time on this. I had made that comment before. But I think what NASA was referring to in those statements were harassment and abuse coming from UFO Twitter in particular has been very loud and very angry with a couple of us, not just me. I know that I have definitely been a target for a lot of it.
So yeah, that speaks to this greater thing that you spoke about in your article, Danny, that you're experiencing a little bit today, and that I think just turns so many people off. Like that.
But you know, Red, you said the same. You said the magic fucking words.
What?
It turns a lot of people off.
It does.
You know why? You know why?
Oh,
you know
right.
why?
Purpose.
Because that's what they're fucking trying to do.
Yeah.
You think so, John? That they're
Well, yeah, that's
creating
exactly
this
what they're
noise
trying
to
to
turn
And not
people
just
away from
that, they're giving people like Kirkpatrick, and because I personally think there was a lot of problems with that Arrow report, but they're giving them all a perfect out for all this stuff, because you can't really defend a lot of the actions of this community. They're just really despicable, and
look, I think there's problems with the Arrow report as well. Like I'm not convinced. I mean, I put this originally in the article, but it got cut. He says he's contacted these private companies about reverse engineering, and he said he's found no evidence. And I just think, well, they could be lying to you, and we'll never know if they are.
Yeah, there was no detail about who he talked to, which companies. It was very much a trust me, bro, on the other side of things.
Precisely, that's what I said. It was very much. It was the equivalent of saying, "Trust me, bro, I know the guy." Like it's like, well, no, like, yeah, but they have that advantage that they can hide behind anonymity. And what I'll say to the whistleblowers is just blow the whistle properly. Show us some incontrovertible smoking gun evidence that would put this debate to rest. And the argument that you would be in a jail cell if you did, I just think doesn't hold up. I think you'd be one of the most celebrated people in the world if you did that.
Well, you just got to do the czar. Get out in front of people and get out and just be loud. Right, get out and be loud, and get your friends. You know you're not the only dude standing there when that shit happened. There's 3 or 4 guys. Yeah. It'd be like, I'm going in, you're going in, because if I'm going in, I'm taking you with me, and that's what has to happen, right?
What if Greer did the ultimate comeback and did the 40-person thing of like 2001 with all the 40 whistleblowers that Grush is talking about, like the ultimate collab at the end? That would be sick. Yo, Greer and Grush, you should do that.
But I mean, honestly, that's what's got to have to happen. But money happens, man. Money happens, and the van still happens. I'm not bullshitting you. When we talked about this and we started talking this morning, the van still happens.
The kidnap van.
The van still happens.
Disappear van.
John Warner told me some shit that scared me.
Oh, I'm sure he did, dude. Half the stuff he drops, I never heard.
Cousin
in my
of
life.
Chris Mellon for the show. So, and John Warner is really tied into the big money side of this country, and not just that of this subject, right? Like his cousin is Chris Mellon.
Well, they're like, I mean, the Warner Mellon. I mean, they're like a UFO royal family almost. They go back to like the deep secrecy and stuff. You know what I mean, like their names go further back.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I got told some things that the people that you think that are powerful senators, congressmen, whatever, they're not immune to the van.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want to say without violating my trust with John and everybody else. But they are not immune to the van either. Okay.
Oh, I mean, did you all see that clip that John Greenwald put up this week? I think we watched it on the show a few days ago, where Judge Napolitano is talking about how he had asked Trump, "Hey, why didn't you declassify the JFK stuff? You said you're gonna do it all."
He said, "If you saw it, I wouldn't do it either."
Exactly. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it either. Yeah. There's some of the stuff that when you see you. It's the third rail, right? You touch that third rail and you're just done. So I get it, right? The van. Somebody asked me what the fuck the van is back in the day, and this is no bullshit. A white van would just show up, right, in front of your house, and somebody would knock on your door, and you'd open the door, and some dude would put a bag on your head and drag you and throw you in the back of the van.
Damn.
And you might come back, and you might not.
You might get psychotronically attacked before
you might come back. You might only halfway come back.
But,
you might come back a different dude. Right?
John, so Danny just told us about what happened with him and Gary Nolan in the comments about this article. What happened with you and Gary Nolan?
Oh shit! So Danny, is that how it ended? Or Red? Was that the end of that thread? Was that the end of that thread? What was to happen to the DMs? That's what I'm. Listen, I gotta. This is the kind of stuff where I got.
Yep, you got to pour one out.
You know what? You know what?
Him a knuckle dragger in the end.
Oh, he hated that. He hated that, dude.
But actually, I said you should probably get a good pair of gloves because you must get a lot of friction burn dragging your knuckles around everywhere. And look, I know he's a Nobel Prize nominee, but I don't care. doesn't matter. Or 2 + 2 = 5. No, it isn't. Yeah, it is. I won a Nobel Prize. Oh, all right, fine, it is then. Shut up. You know what I mean?
Here, Danny, you read your part. People, you read Gary Nolan.
I get to be Gary Nolan?
All right. Listen, I'm the Dean Martin of ufology. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna. I'm just sorry.
All right, where are we starting, Red? Where are we starting?
You be Danny, and I'll be Gary Nolan then.
No, let Danny be Danny, for fuck's sake. He's here.
Is he down? I thought he said he might have long. Danny, if you're down, read it. If not, we got 2 on standby.
Yeah, no, don't let Danny be Danny.
You guys do it. I like to see you perform.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Danny. I'll do Danny.
All right.
Can I be Daniel Sheehan?
Yes.
Yes.
Xenu is real. Ronald Hubbard was the truth.
UFO Shane, you could be Gary Nolan, and 2 will be Danny. All right, ready?
Oh wow, here we go.
I'll be Danny. Here we go. And I can't fake your accent, so we're just gonna go. All right.
Cool.
Hell yeah. And I think we need a little bit of music, some suspense music in the background. Okay, for all the ufologists sending me abuse, I tried to get testimony or evidence that contradicted Kirkpatrick's claims. People told me they knew people who sent info to Arrow and were ignored, but they provided no evidence for this. None.
Zero.
I'll do Gary Nolan for you.
Gary Nolan.
I got Gary. Hold on.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Did you try to get evidence supporting Dr. Kirkpatrick's claims?
How would I go about that, Gary? See Russell's teapot. This really isn't difficult to understand.
This is not a grammar school or year 7 philosophy class. Oh my God, this is super long.
Good luck.
I'll take it over for you. Want me to take it? Just let me know.
Ahead.
All
Wait,
It's every actor's dream. You've got the monologue, man. Just lead into it.
Yeah, go ahead, Shane.
It's not a grammar school or 7-year philosophy class. Okay, I'm Australian now. Russell's teapot as a retort is an unambiguous non sequitur. Russell's tenet does not apply to me or anything I have said here. It applies to you in your article. You have made claims, mate. You've made all these claims as to Arrow's refutation of claims and conclusions. Where are all the evidence and the methods for Arrow's claims? Specifics were provided to Arrow. They admitted that much, mate. They admitted it on the beaches of the Golden Coast. They claimed to have checked them. Okay. What names and places? What names and places, mate? Contractors, programs, etc. were checked and refuted. In science, even a refutation of a claim requires evidence. See how far you get asking for any of that from Arrow, and see if they spill any tea your way. They don't, mate. You know, a kangaroo in my backyard right now. In the meantime, put a cozy on that teapot, mate. Just go ahead and just don't put milk in your tea. Just add sugar to keep it warm for another day. It really is that easy to understand. I said all these things that made no sense previously, and they're so easy to understand. So easy for you to get.
Hey, clearly you need a refresher of that nursery grade class. Make sure you get a sturdy pair of gloves out. Gaza, me old mate.
You know.
No, Danny, Danny, what is that? Fucking Danny, say that.
Toast on this one, dude.
Yeah, Danny, say it.
Well, Gary is usually shortened into Gaza over in the UK, so I've just been an extra prick there. Yeah, well, he was being a prick, but just in a really highfalutin kind of academic way. So I just thought, oh well, yeah.
Dude, this gets biblical. You must get terrible friction burns from dragging your knuckles everywhere.
Well, hold on a second, because I'm Gary Nolan right now, and I'm Australian Gary Nolan. And
what's that? Gary Nolan made love to Ross Coulthard. What the fuck happened?
Right? But have we said, Danny, Mike, you said clearly you need to refresh all this stuff, all this garbage you said, obviously. And then Gary was like, Matthew 12:37. Mine, let me go ahead and read that for you. Oh,
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear Matthew 12:37.
Matthew 12:37. Full.
Does it have to do with something with knuckle draggers, please?
Well, here we go. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned.
Wow, that's what it is. Give it to me again, seriously.
All right, here we go. Matthew 12:37. I'm also very esoteric, Gary Nolan, right now. I have read Manly P. Hall. For by your words you shall be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Jesus Christ, Gary! God damn,
dude, he got biblical.
Wow, you know what? You win.
Just used to say, business just picked up there, didn't it? Do you know
Like, could you imagine? Like talking to someone like, "Hey, how's your day going?" Matthew 12:37. By your words you shall be acquitted, and by your words you shall be condemned.
This ties into exactly what we were talking about, where
let the crusades begin. Red Pentagon.
And this is a great segue into Jon Majerowski's thing about Gary Nolan.
Here we go.
When one of these leaders of disclosure is literally quoting God, condemning Danny.
Yeah,
that comes with a lot of stuff, right? That comes with like, yeah.
Well, all right. How many followers does Gary Nolan have?
I've never been condemned by God. I don't even think at Sunday school.
You have been condemned.
Gary Nolan has got 79,000 followers on Twitter.
Oh my God.
I mean, literally, like honestly though, could you imagine posting a Twitter comment and being like, you know, like I haven't seen that, Gary. He's like, well, Matthew 12:37, man. And then you're like, okay, let me go look that up. Where's that? You know? Oh, shoot!
I've been condemned, but my words have been condemned. So, Danny, I'm sorry, dude, but I congratulate you for being in the fucking club. Like,
yeah. See, this whole article only came about because I'm writing a book about this subject.
Oh, you are? What's your book about?
Well, ufology. It's kind of like a John Ronson first-person quest narrative thing.
So you're like going out talking to people doing weird shit, like just jumping into like Bohemian Grove and doing shit like John Ronson.
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, I went to the MUFON boot camp, in Arizona, and did that. That was really interesting. And it's just full of really cool people, like the nice people in the community who are just having not a bit of fun, but they're really interested in it, and it's kind of a community, and that was like really cool.
But then you get Gary Nolan attacking you, and then you're like, "Fuck this."
That's what's crazy. I was expecting you to come be Green Street level debunker here, but you're like a low key UFO nerd, like all of us on stage here. You're kind of like air report I don't know about. What do you think about that? What I said, yeah.
Sorry.
Danny, yeah, what do you think about that? Because I feel like the narrative online about you right now is like you're government shill, you hate UFOs, you hate the UFO community, you think there's nothing to this subject, you think the Error Report was great, you know what I mean? It's not really the case. You're writing a book about UFOs, you know what I mean? Like
I can't get over the fact that Danny's just like the realest dude. Like Danny, you seem like a regular person like me. You're just a dude trying to figure it out, and they're like, "Hey, Gary, I didn't figure this out." He's like, Matthew 12:37. by your words, you shall be acquitted, son, and by your words, you shall be banished. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Danny, what do you think about that? Let's give Danny the floor.
Yeah, let give Danny the floor. Come on, Danny. Come on. Tell us what you think, man.
I just think that's dynamite, Gary. Fucking hell, what can I say? Maybe go to a pub and just see how normal people talk to each other. And,
they should have never gave you money.
We're gonna have to call the tribunal out, guys.
And what do I think about this topic? I think it's really aspirational, isn't it? It's looking into the unknown. It's about not being alone in the universe. I think it's quite a beautiful topic, really. I just don't see the need to get really cross about it. It's supposed to be fun, isn't it? It's supposed to be fun and inspiring and interesting, and yet for some reason it's become an intellectual point scoring exercise for people, and a matter of life and death. I don't get that at all. I really don't.
Yeah, and that's the scary part, and that's literally the scary part, because like we go back to all the stuff we talked about. We talked about all the NASA people on the board, Kirkpatrick, like everybody else. They're getting threats. They have people in their yard. There are people who are showing up in your yard, right? Hanging out, camping out overnight.
I see.
And your wife goes out to take the trash out, and you find some dude camping out in your yard because you're the UFO like guy, and you don't want. And like, I'm just putting myself in Kirkpatrick's shoes, and I'm not advocating for him, and I'm not like trying to be that dude. But if that was me, think about that. You're going to go outside to take your wife's going to go take the trash out, and you find some guy sitting in your yard.
How many people in this field have we seen face this same group and just become bitter and turned off and green street?
Why are they?
Hey, guess what, Red? Guess what? What? Why is that?
Because it's on purpose.
And hasn't that original SETI lady played by Jodie Foster, what's her name again? Hasn't she been abused and harassed? Like the original SETI person.
She's in a clip we're gonna play actually because that
I know the
conversation.
Wikipedia, they're going after this Wikipedia lady Susan Gerbic, who I also don't necessarily agree with, but I still think it's just a bad look for our community. It's not inviting to outsiders to come to our community, and it's just giving people ammo to like undermine our effort.
And do you think like when Susan Gebrick posts again, you should be like Matthew?
Just retweet Gary Nolan's tweet.
Response, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like a piece of crap through God.
I can't get past it. It's like, hey, Gary, I just, or Susan or whoever. Like, I'm telling, Danny's like over here just trying to write an article about what he feels is going on. It's like, Matthew 12:37, you shall be acquitted by your words.
It's wild.
Jesus Christ.
Real quick, I want to give a fast breakdown of who Gary Nolan is and why this conversation's happening at all.
And we got to hear John's story real quick about it too. We got to hear John's story.
Absolutely, but he's not a random guy. So
no, he's not a random guy.
Gary Nolan is very.
Gary Nolan works for the CIA.
Ayo, yeah, for real. And isn't SRI kind of an the CIA was. Let me just give you guys a rundown.
Gary Nolan has not ever said he's not worked for the CIA. Yeah, I've done work for them. Yeah, I've done work for them. Yeah, you have contract with them. Yeah.
The next time, hey John, the next time Gary posts a post, what we should do? We should be like, hey Gary, Matthew 12:37.
I can't.
By your words, you shall be acquitted.
The guy's blocked me. He's blocked me.
Real quick, like and subscribe if you guys haven't yet.
Yes.
Do the Pulp Fiction thing. Ezekiel.
Real quick, Gary Nolan is important. He's a scientist over at the Stanford University, right? Part of a Stanford Research Institute that was basically commissioned by the CIA in the early 70s to run a psychic program that turned out to be remote viewing Stargate program. The CIA had heard that this was happening with their enemies, China, Russia. They were developing psychic programs. So they said, we got to do it too, but we got to obviously funnel it through some university. They sent out basically the bid, and then SRI is the one who got it over at Stanford. Since then, Stanford's been behind remote viewing, all different types of research into different like esoteric and psychic kind of mystery stuff. And now what they're doing is psychotronics. Gary Nolan is a contemporary and a partner of a man named Christopher Green, Kit Green. And what they were doing recently was studying the brains and the brain scans of experiencers, people who have seen or been in the presence of a UFO or alien being, or even some cases, maybe a spiritual being. So he's studying the brain scans of those people and Havana syndrome. Recently came out about 2 years ago on the Lex Fridman podcast. That's what he was doing, contrasting and comparing these scans and then finding a relationship in terms of the brain activity between experiencers. Since then, he started several different organizations, one of them being the Soul Foundation, all related to experiencers, all related to trying to find the science. I mean, he seems to know what he's talking about. And for him to be conversing this way with researchers, with journalists, it just seems really strange. That's why we're laughing about it, because smart guy, accomplished person, but down to get in the gutter on Twitter
and rile up the mob that you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's almost like he wanted to. It's like the article is literally about the mob.
Yeah,
and you're riling it up. Yeah, Danny. What are your
here's the
thoughts
thing
on that?
with that. If Lewis Hamilton, the Formula One driver, had a statue of Saint Christopher, the patron saint of travel, on his dashboard, that wouldn't make him any less of a good driver, would it? You could be silly about things and be rational about other things, I guess.
Yeah.
But that Bible thing, I didn't know he quoted the Bible at me. That's great.
That's a mark in this community, in my opinion. But yeah, John, let's get to your story with Gary Nolan, and then we'll get to the eclipse story. We do got to keep it moving. I hope you stay with us, Danny, for the eclipse.
Yeah,
I mean,
Danny. I know it's super late for you, Danny, and I'll try to give you like the high level. I have I didn't pin the thread. You can go look for it. It's like Money Talks or something, right? So just go to my Twitter thread. You can just look for this giant thread called Money Talks, right? So, so what happened? What had happened was, what had happened was my friend James Iandoli, who we talked about at the very beginning of this show,
great guy,
great amazing guy. He had a guy named Andrew Reswitz on his show. I don't know this guy. I don't know him at all. But you know, James, I follow everything he does. James has Andrew Reswitz on the show, and during that podcast on engaging the phenomenon, Andrew Reswitz says, Gary Nolan and Kit Green were getting DNA from experiencers, and Kit Green was looking at brain scans from the experiencers, and they were trying to come up with something to figure out what was going on. And I was like, holy shit. Because my research has been in that forever, right? So I literally clipped that, right? You know, on YouTube, you can take a clip of like a 30-second, 60-second thing, right? 60-second thing, it was like Gary Nolan, Kit Green are doing the shit with experiences. And I put it on and I just tweeted it. I'm like, this is huge. This ties into everything I've been looking into. Boom. I put that on. I'm like, massive, right? Tom DeLonge sees it and retweets it, right? So Tom DeLonge retweets my little clip of Ian Doley and Andrew Reswitz talking about Gary Nolan and Kit Green talking about DNA and, you know, CAT scans, brain scans or whatever. Boom. It goes massive, right? It's like, I don't know how many times Tom DeLonge just boom, 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 goes huge. I take my kid to school, right? And I'm just like, whatever, boom. I do, you know, I'm going, you know, Gary Nolan DMs me. He's like, dude, I never said that. Take that shit down. Hey, dude, that's bullshit. I never said that. You know, take it down. All right, whatever, you're blocked. So, like, by the time I took my kid to school and got home, I'm just like, what the fuck? And I look and I see Gary Nolan flying off on me in the DMs, and then I see this tweet that Tom DeLonge retweets that goes fucking crazy, like just right. And I'm going, what the fuck is going on? And then all of these people start attacking me. John, you're a piece of shit. Take it down. You know, what are you doing? You're lying, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, I didn't say shit. I literally clipped this clip from this video.
I'm trying to find the clip. If you have it anywhere, maybe you could say
Dude, wait. So you're saying that you put this out, but you took your kid to school. By the time you got back, you get kind of reprimanded by Nolan. He denies it, says he's going to block you. But Tom DeLonge had already retweeted it out. So by that time it sends out. People have seen it. And suddenly you start getting attacked by people seem to be reiterating kind of like that sentiment from Nolan, or the sentiment that it has to be taken down.
Right. Just like this is bullshit.
And for the audience, just a reminder what the clip is about. That they're collecting DNA from experiencers to create drugs that enhance or turn off susceptibility to the phenomena and potentially psi abilities.
Right. So then I said, fuck it. If you're going to do this to me, I'm going deep, and I don't give a shit because I don't care. So what I did is then I made this giant tweet thread, right? And I looked into it, and Andrew and I have had multiple conversations. Go to my channel. Andrew and I have talked multiple times on the record, off the record, right? And on the record, he said, yeah, when I had my experience, Gary Nolan, I reached out to him. This is what happened. John Burroughs, the guy that was at what's the place in England where all this stuff happened? Rendlesham. John Burroughs was there. John Burroughs said, and I linked it all in this thread. John Burroughs was like, I'm not giving you my DNA. And they're like, well, we're not going to give you money to pay for your shit. And he was like, okay, to whatever. And then he passed out because they gave him whatever to do with surgery. And he was like, they had to have gotten my DNA. They had to have got. So listen, so
what?
And I did find this thread. So what's funny is in the thread, you found multiple data points of other people, and I think even Gary Nolan saying this exact same thing.
And Gary fucking Nolan, he said DNA? This. Yes, Gary Nolan said the same thing.
Here, Gary Nolan. Clip of Pasulka.
Bro, I thought Kurt was in the chat, bro. I thought he was on. I was like, yeah,
bring him in.
Just real quick though, John, you are taking your daughter to school. You're living your life, and then all of a sudden, Matthew 12:37 happened.
You got Matthew 12:37, bro.
I wish he would have texted me the Matthew 12.
Yeah,
I would have known. I would have known.
You got to get a tattoo, Danny.
John, did you feel like you were acquitted? Do you feel like by your words you were condemned?
I feel like I feel like by my words I was acquitted.
So let's listen to Pasolka talk, because I find this fascinating. It's always fascinating, one, that this mob thing exists. And it's always fascinating what gets it called up, unleashed, blah, blah, blah.
The mob thing exists and it gets called up.
It
And I felt it, and Danny, you felt it today, and I'm sorry, but it's bullshit.
Yeah. Is this just a 24-hour thing, or how long should I expect?
No. It's gonna be forever, bro.
Buckle up.
It'll be a little bit forever, unless you're crazy like me and Tupa. It'll probably lie down in like about a week when they got a new catch of the day.
You know what, Danny? As a journalist, you should just monitor this.
Talk to the people. Talk to the people. See what they have to say about it.
It's all going in the book.
You don't talk to them, Danny. You just start posting Bible verses. And
just quote Bible verses back to him.
Crazy Bible verses.
That will be in the book. That Bible verse will be in the book.
Yeah, man.
Matthew 12.
Oh my God.
And honestly, I'm like, no bullshit. I mean, you're talking about your book. Like, after that point, I said fuck it, and I started writing a book. So I'm like really deep in my book. I haven't been huge on Twitter. I haven't been huge on YouTube, and I haven't been doing a lot of stuff because I was like, you know what? There's so much shit that's happened to me in the past 4 years that I have to put this down on paper. I have to put it down on paper. I have to name names. I have to fucking spill the tea, and I have to just put it out there because people deserve to know what's really going on, like on the scenes and behind the scenes.
I'm outlining a 6-part
100%
about my experiences in ufology since 2018. You know, crazy, bro.
Listen, I'll write the intro to your book. You can write the intro to mine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but let's watch this clip about the drug thing because I just find that so fascinating. And then we'll watch a clip. I believe you have one in thread too.
This is Kurt Jaimungal of Theories of Everything podcast.
Talking to Diana
apologize on my show, and it did not go well for Kurt.
I remember that. Let's get into that after this clip.
All right.
2021. Diana Pasolka said on Calling All Beings that it's a podcast, which I'll leave a link to that in the description, that you wanted to create a drug that interfaces with the phenomenon on our terms. What was she referring to?
I think she was referring to some comments I had made about my frustration listening to experiencers and actually having some experiencers in my immediate family who had no control over the events that were occurring to them. And there's many examples of this in the literature. And if you imagine that whatever this has to communicate with humans through
brain,
somehow our sensory apparatus.
Your brain.
In a few months ago, December 2021, Diana Pasolka said
that was the end of it. So yeah, but he was getting at is this is, and in Pasolka's book, before he was outed as being James, he said, I'm looking for a cure, or I'm looking for a thing that can turn on and off the phenomenon. I'm looking for a thing that can turn on and off, because if you're having this horrible experience and you just don't want to have it,
sense. I'm not even opposed to that.
and I am not opposed to that. But what Andrew and I have talked about offline and online on my channel and his channel, if you could create a drug or something that turns on the part of your brain that turns on a psychic component of the phenomenon, or to turn it on in some way, you could market that and sell that to whoever and turn people into super soldiers.
Like literally.
If
already doing it.
If you have 12 people or 13 people around you and all of you are on the same wavelength, or all of you have taken the same drug and you're telepathic, and that I'm going to go around this corner, you're going to go there, we're going to go there. We already know what's going on because we can already automatically remote view. We know that there's 14 guys right there sitting and playing cards, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to walk in and just grab them, right? There's no shots fired. We're just going to make that shit happen. And if you can market that to the government, that's trillions of dollars.
So that's interesting. That's interesting on its face. But then it's interesting that he literally said that, and you'd clipped kind of something similar being said, and you got the mob unleashed on you, which it's kind of crazy that this kind of got brought up, because that's like the third time I feel like in recent memory where it's like Gary Nolan said something, did something, and then publicly was like, That didn't happen. He did it with
we ran into that.
He did it with Ahsoka when she went on Joe Rogan and she was like, me and Gary Nolan went to the gifting fields and he was like, that did not happen.
That didn't happen.
It happened in our space with Vetted and the Stephen Greer documentarian's director, Michael Mazzola, where he was like, yeah, in the early Atacama days, I talked to Gary Nolan and he thought the Atacama skeleton humanoid might have been made by aliens. And then that we got blocked for that, you know, and
yeah, bro,
the mob got unleashed on Skyfire. And then even later, he was like, I might have said that actually in the early phases before.
Matthew 12, 37.
No one was even accusing you of anything huge or crazy, but it's like, what's up with Gary Nolan having to like do these weird retractions that also come alongside this unleashing of the mob?
You got to remember that Gary Nolan has like 30 patents and has like millions of dollars for creating pharmaceutical drugs to deal with look him up. Just look at the shit he's looked up. And then I hate to go this way, but then if you look at those, because Gary Nolan was actually one of the board of directors for TTSA in the beginning.
That's right.
Along with a bunch of other people. This is all going to be in my book.
Immunologists, you commented this, right?
Yeah. Immunologists, biologists, virologists.
What did DeLonge know about COVID so early?
Hey, do you know what Luis Elizondo's degree is in?
Immunology.
Wait, parasitology.
Yeah.
Parasitology, not parapsychology.
No, parasitology.
Hitchhiker cytology.
I want to play a clip because I think it's important we get a good, well-rounded idea
about
how Gary Nolan feels about the phenomenon and what the implications of him getting DNA and trying to come, because it's not just alien stuff. Like, these are strange statements from a scientist. I'm going to play the clip. Like,
I want to get into a whole religious conversation. You could very easy for you could see how religions could call them angels or devils or what have you, because again, if you're trying to fit it into a framework of cultural understanding, the first thing you somebody else, but that there's something else.
Tupa, that's amazing. Tupa, you did that shit. That's amazing.
I did that shit like 2
you
years
did.
ago, bro.
I know, man, but that's
that movie is
so good.
Thank you.
Cutting in that Tupa is amazing. But
dude,
like,
I love that movie.
Dude,
My
that
dad's like,
was
sit
really
down,
good.
watch. We're watching Apocalypto 9 times, dude. Like,
Yeah.
So think about this. Let's. When I think about this, dude, we're talking about drugs that allow you to see or not see the phenomenon from a person, Gary Nolan, who's been on record talking about how this is related to our religion, our culture, our society, our ideas, how it's related to God and our interpretation of what we could be or what we are. Like, this isn't, I mean, I understand the military application, John, but this seems like, hey, we need to find, this is what it sounds like to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to talk about this later, but I mean, like, the idea that there are certain people who have somehow accidentally or purposefully become aware of something through a form of like forced evolution or psychological like training to get them to see something that would normally be unseen. We're pushing the bounds of evolution. Why wouldn't these scientists want to be on the cutting edge? They want to know who's seeing it. They want to know why they're seeing it. They want to know how they could apply that to their soldiers or to their whatever. It's a big deal that he believes this, and that we're talking about the phenomenon in relation to who's got it.
Those things aren't even necessarily bad, right? I don't think
they're bad.
No, and I don't think they're bad either.
I think he's net positive with his contributions to this subject.
And here's the deal, though. The thing that pisses me off is that I get as an American, I love my country and I love national security and I want to keep that. I'm saying that right now. And I understand that if that gets out to somebody else, that could be a negative impact to us as Americans or the globe, right? I understand that part from that aspect, right? But at the same time, to unleash whatever that shit is that exists in the Twitter sphere or whatever that sphere is that attacks the NASA scientists, attacks Kirkpatrick, attacks just dumbasses like me, journalist. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? Is it that aggressive that you have to take that stance against normal citizens?
And he'll block all of us, right? We're probably all blocked.
I'm blocked.
But he's not blocking some of these worst.
I'm not blocked.
Not only is he not blocking the harassers, he interacts with some of the worst harassers.
You don't have to
online.
name them, but everyone knows exactly who we're talking about, right?
Paul Abdul.
All right, well, that was good. We got a little tail in on the Gary Nolan stuff. Let's get into this eclipse now, because this is happening around the country.
Dude.
Okay, you guys gonna get a good. I got to see a man about a horse. I'll be right back.
All right, all right.
I'll be here if you're around, and if not, we'll see you though.
Yeah, we're gonna cover this
Hi,
thing.
guy. I think I need to check out now.
Oh, you too. Yeah,
Danny.
you're 3 a.m. now, right? Thank you for that time you spent with us.
Bye, Jenny.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's been fun. You guys are hilarious.
We'll have to get you back on, bro. I didn't realize you were. I thought you were just a skeptic writing an article because you were signed. I didn't realize you were having this whole book, and you've been kind of part of the community more or less. So yeah, we'll definitely get you back on for sure.
Cool. Yeah, and anytime. I really enjoyed it. Thanks again, and enjoy your weekend.
Likewise, Danny. We're not all bad, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, good luck with the mob. I'm looking at Twitter now. Our researchers are showing us a lot of stuff that's currently happening right now. If you guys want to follow that drama, give Danny a follow and then go see what he's dealing with now because he wrote an article. You know what I mean? Danny, until next time, guy. Get some rest.
Thanks, mate.
Good night, man.
Take care.
Right on.
Bye-bye.
Very cool. That's what we do at SkyFireNews. Everyone's talking about this article today. Everyone's calling Danny a CIA agent, a shill. We bring Danny on. We talk to Danny. We hear exactly what's going on. Now we're going to get into this eclipse. So, Juba, is this a little video we have or just a little black?
It's just it's a little background video. So basically, the eclipse, guys, we're hearing a lot. There's a lot of news going around that people are being prepared. FEMA's talking about the eclipse, and no one's able to connect. Is the eclipse going to cause some kind of geological issue, a geopolitical issue? What the hell is happening? Why are people being warned? And what's up? Well, the eclipse is traveling through America. Right, that's what's happening. We're going to put up a map in just a second. Shane, you have a unique perspective on this because it's traveling through your area. Are the warnings coming in because this solar eclipse is going to cause? Is it going to blow the world up, or is there a practical reason why this is happening?
Well, I can only read you Matthew 12:37. Yeah. So the eclipse, is when the sun and the moon are perfectly in line, and it causes it's cool. It's cool looking. We've all lived through eclipses. But I was at work. I work on a farm, and I got called into a meeting. They're like, "Hey, I have a radio at work," and like, everybody come on.
John's back. We're on to the eclipse, John.
And I went to the meeting, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, we're having a meeting about the eclipse, and I was like, okay, that's weird. And a lot of my bosses are very Christian people. They drink a lot of alcohol, but they're super Christian. They probably read Matthew 12:37. But and I was like, is this like a spiritual thing or like what's going on? Like, nope. There's 300,000 people coming to our town because we are directly.
You turn up your mic on your end by any chance or in streaming?
Is this better?
Yeah, maybe just.
Actually, no.
Nope.
I can't do it from my end on StreamYard, so I think you're gonna have to do it on your end. So if
there it is.
I don't know what.
I think your beard is too thick.
That's it.
Is this better?
No.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
And for context of why this is important for Shane is Shane actually lives within the path.
Hey, you see where it says Toledo?
So
that's where I'm at.
You're in the path too.
Yeah.
But if you look at Arkansas, right? Like we're looking at like Little Rock is like in bold letters here.
Yeah.
I live northeast of Little Rock, but I live like right on this line, in the middle of the line.
The path of totality?
Yeah, the path of
totality.
Matthew 12.
You live in Matthew 12:47.
Oh yeah, so Shane, you get this
be
meeting.
condemned by my words.
You think the meeting's going to be about some like, are they going to tell me demons are here or whatnot? But what was the meeting actually
I'm
about?
sitting here. I literally asked my boss, I was like, "Is this like some like weird spiritual shit? Or are you trying to like?" I was like, "I don't know what's going on," but I'm a team leader at my work, so like I wasn't told about any of this. And we have this whole meeting. There are flyers around my entire job. I can't post them here because it'll dox me. And as you all know, I've had people come to my house with machine guns because I agreed with someone's post.
What?
On UFO Twitter.
That's a whole episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right.
But yeah, no, I've been doxxed worse than probably anyone on Twitter.
Sorry.
But people do what they do. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? He's like, hey man, our town has a population of 35,000 people. We have 300,000 people estimated coming in. The government or the governor, Sarah Huckabee, is saying, go buy gas.
Yeah.
A day prior because there's not going to be any gas.
So listen, they're like everywhere in that whole line. They're telling that. So like in Ohio, Indiana,
exactly.
like so everybody's getting those texts, those alerts. It's like on everybody's social media. Buy gas. Have a different way to contact your family in case buy food for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of food and water.
That's a scary ass tip.
Yeah.
Like a scary pro tip, dude. Like what's going on?
2 weeks of water and gas and find a way to contact your family without phone or the internet.
So get CB radios.
So like pigeon.
Invest in CB radios. Invest in some Nikola Tesla pigeons.
What the fuck's going to happen for 4 minutes? It's 4 fucking minutes.
It's 2 minutes.
Well, they did the same thing, and so in Oregon, the same thing happened a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
And Oregon obviously has a lot of rural areas.
Yeah.
And so what happened was a couple weeks leading up to the event, the roads were packed. People were driving from all over the country just to come experience the eclipse, and they were hitting up and basically saturating and overrunning towns, small towns,
cell networks, all the shit power.
No way to
and
support.
It seems to be that's what's happening here, right? There's not a conspiracy. Maybe
No.
Let's watch a clip. Although I kind of think there is a conspiracy. We got some clips about it.
I love it. We all think it's a conspiracy. Like it's a conspiracy.
I don't think the audio is working. Riff on it for a little bit
Well,
more.
Project Unity.
I'll watch that though.
Real quick, Project Unity J.
Yeah.
Who I'm good friends with.
Yeah.
I'm not good friends with him, but I know him. He posted a thing about the eclipse, and it was my local news network, and that was like 3 weeks ago, and I was like, oh shit,
That's how you found out about it?
Yeah.
A dude from England posted a clip, and you found out about it in Arkansas.
He's like, there's gonna be a freaking eclipse here. It's gonna be wild. The dead are gonna rise from the graves. He didn't say that, but
so here's the news article.
Here it is.
Until a total solar eclipse on April 8th, and this week the city of Dripping Springs approved a disaster declaration to help prepare for crowds coming to town, and that means all city offices will be closed, and anyone planning to host more than 50 people will have to register their viewing party online.
Mm-hmm.
City leaders also want people to be mindful of extra traffic and to get supplies like groceries well in advance. Now,
let's. I have another one up here. Let's just watch two of them.
So yeah, I mean,
real quick.
I get it.
We're less than a month away from a total solar
This was about
eclipse,
the National
and now
Guard.
the National Guard is being called in to help with all the extra tourists. McCurtain County requested the help as thousands of people are expected to flood into southeastern Oklahoma to see that eclipse. Officials in McCurtain County, with a population of 30,000, expect upwards of 100,000 people to put an obvious strain
People
on.
are lazy as shit. There's not
The Highway
100,000
Patrol and
people
Choctaw
driving out there.
Nation are also helping prepare.
Gas prices so high. Nobody's driving out there. Nobody's going.
I think they
They're
will.
driving, John. They're driving their RVs. They're flying. like rare aerocraft straight to my state, and they're going to be here buying all the ground beef and all the toilet paper. It's going to be wild.
So do we believe that? Chat, do you believe that this is the reason they're calling out the National Guard and giving all these weird, like, have 30 days of food? Is there something else going on here? Because that's kind
There's
of...
going to be UFO crashes. Ross Colton's going to report on it. It's going to be just UFO crashes.
Gary Nolan's going to show up.
They're going to be like, 1237. There's UFO crashes everywhere. It's going to be crazy. The dead are going to rise from their graves.
Is Grush going to release his op-ed, and is Lou going to give his first interview on the...
You know what? I know. I get to get off work at 12 o'clock.
Well, hold on. Here's some news.
So listen, go ahead.
FEMA has chemical scientists coming to the scene. Now, I've seen a lot of FEMA reports that were spreading on TikTok that have since been kind of, I want to say, debunked. Even some of the social media platforms are taking these offline because they're kind of like, they're amping up the news. And could it be clicks or could it not be? I don't know. But we're going to keep our eyes on it just in case, guys. Just in case. We don't know. But I mean, this looks like it might be clickbait, but we're glad to be talking about it, and we're glad to be covering it because I know that it's scaring a lot of people out there.
Yeah. So John, there's a bunch of different esoteric things.
Yes, let's get into that.
So there's a lot of different esoteric things. So when you think about eclipses, I was getting into a little bit of the lore, right? So there was this whole thread that I got into that was talking about Jesus' actual crucifixion because of how close it is to Easter. The crucifixion was on the new moon, which is going to be happening. It's the new moon, and it is the eclipse, which hasn't happened supposedly for 2,000 years. Don't quote me. Can't figure that out. I haven't done the research. Could be completely wrong. That's happened. There's also a comet that is possibly visible during the eclipse that is horned, right? So and I can't remember what it's called. It's the Devil's Comet or some shit like that, right?
Just called Lucifer or something.
Yeah. Like, supposedly there's a comet that you'll be able to see visually during the eclipse that's a horned comet, right?
It's not Thule, is it?
Hey,
Zool. I think it's Zool,
right? John, thank you for coming on. I have to go. I have to be at work at 3 o'clock in the morning.
So. Oh, you gotta go to work. Shane, any closing thoughts on the eclipse from you, brother?
I think it's happened time and time again before.
Have you ever been in one? I've never really seen one proper like this.
Yeah, no, I've been in 2 of them that I know of, and I bought the glasses, and I bought the glasses this time. This will be the 3rd one I've been in. And
dude, I'm curious if the chickens are gonna react because that's what I've never seen one, but I heard people say that when they're out in nature and the thing goes over, like it gets dark, cold, and the animals react like it's night for that short period of time.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know what my cat does because I'm not going to. I'm off work that day. Thank God.
Oh, so they're not even having you come in that day.
Yeah, no, I'm just naturally off work that day.
But in my area, they're closing schools.
I think that it's a crazy thing when the heavens align, right? Like it doesn't happen all the time. Pretty cool, and we'll see what goes on. I'm not too worried about an eclipse. I'm more worried about solar flares, a Carrington event, things like that. They could happen anytime at any given moment. That's what I'm more worried about. I think it's going to be cool. Or like John said, gas is $3.19 a gallon here in the South. So
is that high down there? Is that high?
Yeah, it's usually like $2.54.
We're hitting up $5 over here. Quite often,
yeah, and I'm gonna go to the gas station though, guys. And I'm gonna be there like pumping my car full of gas. I'm gonna go, hey, have you ever read Matthew 12:36?
Yo, can we get you, Shane, confirmed to be on Stream It?
I could. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Just film that. Just film that.
Turn that
notification
on.
Just me with glasses on with like holes like this, like. Oh my God! It's happening.
Film it, and we'll do a segment about it the next day, and we'll talk to you about it. Either way,
I'll be like, it was crazy, guys. Like everything blew up, and everything's good now, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
I saw the lady. I saw the Christmas.
The devil comet.
I will say this, regardless of what is going to happen or what will happen, it's cool. It's really cool to see the heavens do things. I think we've followed that for years. Archimedes and all this stuff. Like we look to the heavens for answers. We've always done that, and it's no weird thing for me to people to freak out or even experience something that's happening in the heavens. it's neat, and it's something that you should bear witness to, just like Haley's comment or anything else. Is everything going to go out? Is the grid going to go down? Probably not. A lot of us with a lot of credit card debt hope so, but we'll see where it goes. But that being said, John, I love you, man.
Love you, man.
Speak a lot of truth.
Appreciate
you. Thanks for coming on SkyFire News. I have to go to bed though.
Yeah, muzzle top. Go to sleep.
Good night, bro. You
Get
got
some
work
rest.
tomorrow.
We'll talk to you tomorrow, Shane.
Yeah,
Later, guys.
Thank you so much for being here, man. Hearts in the chat for Shane.
Yeah, hearts in
Till
the
next
chat
time,
for
brother.
Shane. Boom, and he's gone, and now it's just 3 of us. And Republican goes out soon, but yeah,
I was joking around, but this is real. Like there might be some sacrifices happening at this.
I believe so. I was reading some stuff.
Well, that leads us.
I was looking for it, but there was some people were even saying like ufology related that there's some weird stuff about this.
Yeah, there's. I mean, think about it.
There's also.
Do it. The red heifer.
The red.
Oh, that's what it is.
Now listen. Now listen.
That's what I was thinking of. Yes.
I'm not even bullshitting you on this. John Luke, I'm not kidding you. 4 years ago, John Luke and I, he brought it up, and I said, "Yeah, but it's been 2,000 years. Yeah, but they're doing it." And I'm like, "Yeah." And another friend of mine, I don't know if I should name her because I don't know if she wants to be named, but we have a study group.
Well,
right?
maybe and for the audience, and I feel like you're the perfect person, and Tuba could probably help him out. But what's the gist of this red heifer prophecy?
Okay. Tupa, go for it, man. I mean, I heard you do it earlier on, and it's great. You can give the breakdown on it.
The red heifer prophecy is interesting, right? And it's basically like the prophecy originates from the Hebrew Bible, specifically from the book of Numbers, chapter 19. All right, it outlines instructions for the sacrifice of a red heifer without blemish, never yoked, to creating purifying waters. Right. I think it's symbolic in that sense, right? The ashes of the red heifer are mixed with water to create the waters of purification. Sounds kind of bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
These waters are used in various purification rituals, particularly for those who have come into contact with a dead body. And they would say this, if you basically back in the day, if you have shed blood or killed somebody, you need to be away from people for a while. You need to be purified in some sense because there's a burden that comes with it. And back then everything was symbolic, so they were covering it in that way. So like the red heifer is symbolically significant, representing purity and atonement in Jewish tradition. Some interpretations suggest that the birth of a red heifer meeting specific criteria is a precursor to the rebuilding of the third temple of Jerusalem, which if you know about the third temple of Jerusalem, John, you want to take it from there? What that is?
Basically, it's a biblical prophecy that when these certain heifers are sacrificed in Jerusalem, it'll start the apocalypse.
Yes,
correct?
yes.
The coming of the Antichrist.
The
Okay,
Antichrist.
John, I feel like you could break it down for us, John. You have glasses on, esoteric mode activated.
So this has been going on since the last destruction of the temple, right? So, and do you guys have that
Temple of Solomon?
The Temple of Solomon. Do you guys have that ABC clip, Tupa, or Red? You know what I'm talking about? It's like they have the ramp already built. They have this whole thing with like AstroTurf and shit. They have AstroTurf built. They have this white ramp built that they're going to do the sacrifice, and they're going to do the immolation of this calf, right? And John, 1,000% credit to John Luke on this. I knew about it, but I didn't know it was actively searching it. And if you go look for it, throughout the past 5-8 years or so, there's been all these cattle ranchers in Texas and other places that have been, getting these red heifers and they're looking at them, and there's like guys with like binoculars, right? Oh, there's the white hair on this one. This is not happening, right? Like but they're like, this is it. This is going to be it. This is it. And like, no, that's not it. That's not it.
Yeah. So I found the clip about the CBS clip about the temple. Let's watch this real quick.
Yeah. Look at this. This is it.
The infamous October 7 massacre.
Is this it? Third temple red heifer out there.
I'm going to say that's not it.
That's
look, it goes right into it though.
Whoa.
Let's see what they're trying to do with that.
Confounding yet
that's not it.
Has escaped the headlines.
Wow, that's aggressive.
In a recent speech, a Hamas spokesman blamed the Jews for bringing red cows to the Holy Land. The cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location
there
are
it is.
these red heifers, to be precise. Some Jews and Christians believe they're the key to rebuilding the historic Jewish temple in Jerusalem and to beckoning the Messiah. To understand, you have to go back nearly 2,000 years when the ancient Romans destroyed the last temple in the city. To rebuild it, these believers point to the Bible's book of Numbers. It commands the Israelites to sacrifice a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke. Only then can the temple rise again. Caring for them on an Israeli settlement in the West Bank is Yitzhak Mamo.
So we have here, after a long research, we find in Texas.
In Texas?
Texas. That's it. Texas.
Of America.
Texas Red Angus, flying them 7,000 miles to Israel.
This is not a publicity stunt.
What do you mean?
Back that up. Red, back that up. He's like, what do you mean?
Well, that goes to show that, like,
he's like,
some people are like, is this are we?
Are you guys fucking with us? He's like, no.
What? People really believe, and this guy, I mean, imagine he would actually believe that they are fulfilling the prophecy.
No, that's this guy's job. That is this guy's job.
Not just on some like esoteric thing. But
No. This is his legit.
Reality,
that's what he's getting paid to do.
Yes.
He's like a publicity stunt.
Wait, let's see.
Yes, flying them 7,000 miles to Israel.
This is not a publicity stunt.
What do you mean?
Meaning, this is something you take very seriously.
Harry Potter is a good story. The Bible is not a story. The Bible is a way of God to lead us.
A massive altar.
There it is. There it is. There it is. AstroTurf.
Wow.
Ready.
According to
That's
some
crazy.
believers, the ceremony needs to be performed.
AstroTurf on the altar that's gonna.
Yeah, look. If you go back, they'll show it again, but it's like it's bullshit. It's just like this big white ramp. See, look at the grass, like the bullshit grass.
Yeah, it's just weird the way things play out. You know.
Yeah,
It's like one of those carnivals they set up in a parking lot.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to put my kid on that ride. It looks kind of sketch.
Already awaits where the heifers are to be burned.
According to some believers, the ceremony needs to be performed right here on the Mount of Olives, looking directly into where the temple once stood. But something else now stands in its place.
The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, among the holiest sites in Islam. Today, only Muslims are allowed inside, but that's not stopping Jewish activists outside.
Once you got, you started here.
6 days a week, Melissa Jane Kronfeld leads groups from around the world who defiantly pray, as close as armed guards permit.
It's not about the destruction of Islamic holy sites. It is about preserving this place and being guardians over the house of God for all people.
So you're happy with it where it is?
No, it's going to go 100%, but I believe
it's going to go.
No, it's just gonna go. It's just a Karen. Nah, it's just shit's gonna go.
Dome of the Rock has to go, MJ. It's hard for me to imagine something more incendiary.
Let me ask you something. The Middle East seems pretty destabilized right now, and the war, if I'm not mistaken, is already here.
To be clear, hers is a dream not shared by the Israeli government or by the vast majority of Israelis and Jews, but it's been enough to incite numerous Islamist groups. Hamas has dubbed its October 7 assault on Israel the Al-Aqsa Wave and has the Dome of the Rock on its emblem. But this is sacred ground to billions of Muslims globally, not just Hamas terrorists, stresses Imam Mustafa Abu Sway of Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Al-Aqsa Mosque belongs to all Muslims. So you'll find reaction from Indonesia to Toronto to New York. That's really given. Al-Aqsa Mosque belongs to all Muslims, and the Muslims today are 2 billion people. 2 billion people.
Simply by performing these acts, are these Jewish activists kicking a hornet's nest?
They are. They are.
A hornet's nest they're kicking all the way to Capitol Hill.
So good to see you here in the nation's capital.
Those sacred.
Isn't that a UFO guy or no? Is that the Mike Johnson or no Mike Turner? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Wait, Mike Johnson sounds really familiar though in UFO circles. Is there? Do you know about this, John? I feel like if we were looking it up, he's probably at that Elizondo.
Yeah, these guys are all just
Cows were showcased in Washington at a recent prayer gathering. Many evangelicals believe these red heifers will usher Christ's second coming.
Ooh, wait a minute. Wait, back it up. Colin's elite? Colin's elite.
How about Chris Bledsoe, right?
Colin's elite.
The experiencer that they're kind of propping up to be this person has publicly said multiple times, and his son has said that there is a group within the government who, whether or not the apocalypse revelations, the Antichrist is actually happening, want to go through all the steps and all the pageantry. So it almost kind of like
the apocalypse,
to create it within the mind of humanity, even if it wouldn't have occurred without that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
What in the hell is going on over here, dude? This is so prophetic. This is so esoteric. This is so not in the realm of science
and
or government, yet here it is in our faces.
And
These
it ties
guys are
into
pushing
war.
for a type of war, a confrontation. This reminds me, I mean, there are a lot of like spiritual movements and old religious sects that do think, right, that in order for man to evolve, we got to put ourselves in these very tight scenarios, right, to force the means to it. And it's almost Luciferianism a little bit.
But listen, what's going on in the world right now? There's some wars going on.
Yeah,
there really are.
And
There really are some wars.
We thought that was over the top that they included that, and it still might have been at the beginning.
But listen,
Hamas is talking about the red heifers.
This is like 2016. What, Red? When did this thing pop out? Like 16, 17? Like when does this thing from?
2017.
17,
the UFO
right?
movement, yeah.
17, right? So same time as the UFO thing pop. You know. But
okay.
No, yeah, no, I mean, probably not a correlation at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I would
But
there are some leaders within this UFO movement who love that this is happening. I feel like that might be a good way of putting it.
oh yeah,
In terms of the red heifer stuff, not the war.
no. I mean, like nobody. I don't know, man. Warner's told me a lot of shit about war. I mean, Warner is a military historian, right? And John Warner IV is a military historian, and he's told me a lot about war, and that from an aspect that I never thought to look at, right? And one of those aspects is like during any war, you have a massive amount of unclaimed dead people, right? 15,000, 20,000, like we just, mass grave, whatever. Well, Warner's told me, and I'm not spilling any tea here. He said it on some of my podcasts, is like ETs supposedly, and this is from Warner, value DNA, right? Like we value coins or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So if there's a massive war and you have 20,000 people that are dead, but nobody's accounted for them, what happened to those people? What happened to that? There's got to be a skull somewhere, or a bone, or somebody's uniform, or whatever, right? So Warner is of the opinion that
they're all occult rituals, sacrificial rituals.
That and that it's feeding an possible ET presence.
Really?
Yeah. Like
really?
But on a more physical thing. And I mean, you wanted to tie in Foo Fighters, right? They're not necessarily militia stuff, but you hear stuff about like Vietnam, and even in this current Ukraine thing, there was a bunch of UFOs seen over there. So I've heard that too, that people say that, like, kind of like what I said, like they're all kind of just humans have always sacrificed animals and people to whatever this supernatural thing is, and that this might just be a modern day extension of that in a way.
Yeah,
they value DNA.
Yeah,
the ETs value DNA, and they look at war as an opportunity to gather that DNA.
Right, and I'm telling you, this is this is
this is an idea that's out there.
Yeah, this is an idea that's out there. I mean,
exists.
Seriously, go look at
and John
my YouTube.
Warner is not just known, right? He's a UFO historian, military historian, and tied into some conversations and big money that most of us are not tied into.
Right. True. Right. And look at Warner. I mean, look at his books. Look at the research he's done. John Warner IV. He's done massive books in research, and his father. I mean, he's a good friend of mine, and I'm not stepping on his toes or saying anything like that. But when he was a kid, his dad took him all over the world. He's met the Queen 3 times. He met Gorbachev, like everybody in the world, right? Yeah. I mean, we're hanging out. He was telling me a story. He was running around the Pentagon, and one of the generals grabbed him and threw him. He's like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And he's like, "We're fucking around." Him and his buddy, So he's not coming from a place of just fantasy.
Yeah.
He has a
he's like the everyman's elite.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, there's a submarine called the John Warner. It's a submarine class, right? That's like that. He was there for the christening of, right? It's named after his father, right? He was the senator of Virginia for fucking 30 years or whatever, right? Was the head of the
and Virginia is not just any state, right? Isn't it a lot of the intel?
Right. Yeah. The Navy, the Senate. Yeah. All of that. Right. So
right by DC too.
John's a really good friend of mine. He's like one of my best friends. Right. So, I'm not talking out of school. I'm not saying anything that, he wouldn't say. But what I'm saying is from his experience and research is that when these massive massacres happen, a lot of the bodies and a lot of all that shit just disappears. Right.
Damn.
And what he's told me is that maybe somebody from not here covets the DNA of humans and takes that shit. I'm not putting that on it. I'm not putting that on anybody. I'm just letting you know what I know.
I believe it. I'd believe something like that happens. And that kind of ties into what we're talking about too. There's this weird thing with cows, bro. And for the chat too, another interesting point about this whole thing was that, right, wasn't it like this was kind of a myth until the Dead Sea Scrolls were found or something like that? And then it was written down.
You mean the heifer thing, the red heifer thing?
Yes, the red heifer thing.
Oh yeah. So the weird thing about the red heifer thing is like there was a whole myth and everybody didn't know about it, but they found the Dead Sea Scrolls and they found this urn. And they popped the urn open and they're like, what the fuck? There's a bunch of ashes. And there was like a scroll written around. It was like, no, this is the ashes of all the red heifers from fucking 2,000 years.
And that group, the group that made the Dead Sea Scrolls, are a group called the Essenes. And
that was Jesus. Jesus.
What they did with the Essenes, they were a sect of the Jewish. This is real, right?
Jesus was an Essene.
They were a sect of the Jewish religion. They were on the outskirts, right? They were doing their own thing, very culty.
Yes.
Supposedly, one of the things they were working on was trying to bring about the birth of the Messiah. So they did everything from genetics, right, to different types of breeding, different practices, different rituals that lasted lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
They were out in the desert doing their best to create the conditions for the birth of a Messiah, to bring about the birth of a Messiah.
Right.
And supposedly Jesus was in a scene, was born from this effort. And for them, not only was the Dead Sea Scrolls predicted by Edgar Cayce, who talked about this exact thing, but when they found it, they also found red heifer ashes in.
Well, and not just that, what year did they find it?
1947.
Which is a big ufology year, right? You got the Kenneth Arnold wave, the alleged Roswell crash,
sir.
Creation of the CIA, creation of the Air Force, separation of the Air Force from the Army, and all that stuff.
Yeah. So there's like that's the thing that happens, man. It's like these. It's one of my deals that I get into, and it's really.
You're perfect for covering this. The cross section of ufology, ancient secret society, religion. You know what I mean?
For real.
Should have never gave me money.
Yeah.
So what happened was.
Guys, this is crazy. We're talking about the red heifer prophecy. We're going all the way back to the Dead Sea Scrolls. We're tying it back into 1947, big UFO year. We're gonna have to wrap this show up here pretty soon.
Okay,
right?
yeah, we can just turn it down,
dude.
We've been having fun.
We might have to put some of this in the members only kind of section because
whatever you want, man.
Well, John, I want your closing thoughts on this in relation to the red heifer prophecy, in relation to ufology, and also this eclipse, right? Because people are tying that. That's what I was thinking of when.
All right, this is what I'm afraid of.
Yeah,
and I don't know this from any type of. This is just my gut. Is that there's a bunch of esoteric groups out there, not that I'm affiliated with at all. Okay, I'm going to preface that are treating the eclipse as think about. All right, let's think about this from the Mayan aspect, right? If you think about the Mayan aspect, I can't remember how many millions of people the Mayans sacrificed, right? Like they had infrastructure established because of the murder of so many people, and the blood would rain down like rivers, right? During whatever they would do. The Mayans had this whole infrastructure set up. They would just murder people, murder. It was just blood running through the streets and running through this whole infrastructure because that's what they did. They sacrificed people. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that that's what humans are capable of. The eclipse is happening. The warnings are happening. What is this? What is the disparity that we're looking at? Mm-hmm. We're looking at this disparity that people are like, yeah, I got to get gas and food. What the fuck's going on? But then you have another sect or another cult that nobody is even a parent of, right? Maybe those people are planning something. Maybe they're planning something nefarious. Not saying they are. I'm not trying to like promote panic, right? But maybe they're just reading into their own prophecy from whatever religion or whatever they're doing, right? And that's what they think is going to happen. And they're trying to bring about the red heifer. Or, you know, are they going to sacrifice the red heifer during the eclipse? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, and like I said, Chris Bledsoe, who gets propped up by this entire disclosure movement, is saying that there's people within the government and people even part of this UFO movement who are all about this red heifer stuff and all about the kind of doing the dance to bring about the apocalypse / Antichrist.
That's true.
It's part of the discussion, whether you like it or not, and we're not afraid to talk about it here.
No, we're not afraid to talk. I mean, and you know, that's a huge part of it. I mean, we talk about the Collins elite, and everybody talks about the Collins elite, who's this ultra-right Christian part of the government that, you know, is trying to thwart disclosure. But and everybody else looks at the other side, and it's like, well, maybe the ultra-right, you know, part of the elite is trying to bring about the Antichrist, to bring about the end times, to bring about disclosure.
Well, we could go there. I think Tom DeLonge spoke about Luciferianism on his Joe Rogan interview, which we probably can't play because copyright, but he said it in kind of that Gnostic way that I feel like they view him as like the light bearer, illuminator of knowledge. So there's these weird undertones. And, you know, Tom DeLonge said that on Rogan after having all these advisors, right?
Yeah.
After talking to Mellon, after talking to Elizondo. That wasn't like his early 2001 theory. That was his 2017 theory.
That was his informed theory, right?
Yeah.
Talking to some people in
but you got to think about who's informing him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm that guy, and I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm calling this shit out, and I've done it the whole time. I'm like, who's telling you what, and why are you trying to believe that? Because they want you to believe that? Like, discernment is a huge thing, and it's real. You know?
This field especially.
So
ego is a massive deal.
I feel like a lot of these information agents, intelligence agents, I feel like
they know how to play into that ego.
Someone's ego.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
everybody really wants to be loved and liked and whatever else.
Dude, and proven right in this field. If you've ever had a UFO conversation with a non-believer, you know how frustrating it can be when it's just the whole topic is dismissed like that.
See, but how good did it feel when like Nolan was in your DMs and y'all were like chatting in spaces? And Jimmy Carvel's promoting your. It's easy to fall for these things.
Not even Corbell's sharing my art. Really Nolan's in my DMs, dude. I thought it was great, and like
everyone needs discernment.
But it is what it is. Like you got to. You know who tipped me off that something might be amiss?
Who?
It was Pasolka. A tweet she said. I think she mentioned it. She tagged me in it. I was talking about the UFO timeline, and I was like, you know, like I want to get it made, yada yada. And she said like, whoever helps you fund it will control it. So be careful.
Wow.
She
said that?
She's been saying a lot of stuff about the control mechanism within that we all talked about. You know, we can't not talk about it without.
It's there. It's apparent.
It's so apparent. She's talked about it very overtly, which I find interesting that she's on Soul Foundation. But you're right. We did 2.5 hour show.
Dude, with this show was amazing.
But listen, I'm sorry.
No,
we're having fun.
I didn't mean to.
Does your camera auto track?
I just saw your camera's a robot, and I'm in love with that. I think that's amazing.
That's sick. That's awesome.
You have the smartest camera in the world.
No, the government sent that to me.
Yeah, they do. That's no. Look under the bottom. It's etched Matthew 12:17.
It says it says you have to. I got to sacrifice a red heifer when I get off of this just to keep that. No, it's you can pick that up for like $100. It's AI auto tracking, man.
Dude, it's awesome.
Fuck.
No, but John, this you were the perfect guest to have on today because the news we covered, but also like the things we were able to get into with you. Your knowledge is it's unmatched, man. Like,
and with Danny too. You guys are. We all are. blocked by Gary Nolan Bros. So that's cool.
the brotherhood.
No, but listen, you guys like legit, like no bullshit, no show, no whatever. Tupa, you helped me out on so much shit forever back in the day, man. You helped me with audio. You helped me with video. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And you were the coolest dude. And I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. And you're like, send me your shit. I'll help you fix it. And you did. And that's fucking awesome. And Red, you and I have always chatted on the record, off the record, whatever. And like one day you and I just hit it up and we were just bullshitting and it was like real. And then we got to experience and hang out at Contact in the Desert.
Yeah.
It was a real experience. And that's what I think this whole thing is about, is like connecting with people that are real, that have their heart in it and their soul in it. And they're not in, there's a bunch of people that are shills. There's a bunch of people that are in it for the money. There's a bunch of people in it for the fame. There's a bunch of people that just fucking give a shit. And you guys both do. And I love you guys. And I really appreciate you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, man.
No, seriously, I totally agree too, because there's a lot of subjects that people aren't wanting to talk about in this field.
Yes.
And there's a lot of components within this field, which basically the harassment crazy mob stuff.
The harassment crazy mob is massive and underrated, and nobody wants to talk about it, because when you talk about it, you become a target. When you become a target, when you talk about it.
The people they target and the people who talk about it, I actually end up respecting more, because it's like the non-shill list of this subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Greenwall, Green Street, John, us. Like, you're not just going to get the pre-approved from upstairs message on whatever's happening. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, use discernment. You know what? And what I found, when I came into it, I was naive. And, when you get through it and you go through it. But I think if you come from a place of love and understanding and you try to like radiate that and just try to be positive, even if it's fake, even if you tell yourself, man, like, I'm not positive, like, I'm not this dude, I'm not this guy to be this guy. But if if you do that and you just keep putting it out there, and you keep telling yourself, this is it. Like, you want to feel the love, you want to bring the connection, it'll happen. And that's what the secret is, man. Just bring it in, force yourself to do it. And you find the people like Chupacabra. You find the people like Red.
Subject, bro. It's so sad when you see people not have fun, but
yeah. And then you get like John Warner, who just goes fucking wild, and then you get John Luke, and then you just get people that just go nuts. And you can just have fun, as long as you can just have fun and know that, it's not the end of the world, And seriously, I love you guys. I really appreciate what you're doing. I'm 1,000% behind you. Whatever you need, I got you, man. And I really appreciate you bringing me on and having fun tonight with you guys.
Dude, this
has been a treat. Dude. We're gonna have a great time. And bro, thanks for being here. Let's shout out some of the chat, and they're probably gonna close out here.
Let's do it.
Are you gonna shout them out, or?
Dude, we got UFO intros. Thank you so much for the $9.99 dono, dude. That's dope. We got Kent Reynolds in the mix, dude. If you guys don't know Ken, you guys got to go find him and say what's up. Sage giving us the beautiful little thing. We get to celebrate now. Our subs went from 2,700 to 2,800.
Yes, and if you're watching this, make sure you're subscribed. And if you're watching this from the future, subscribe, like the video, comment.
You got to make a comment, because the algorithm goes wild. If you comment, it just goes boom.
Tell us how much you want John back on the show. All right?
Oh yeah.
Because, like, we need him back on ASAP, but show him some love, show him support.
And tell us what y'all think about this red heifer thing, because it is super interesting. I mean,
that thing's wild. If that thing gets burned to ash, I might have to go underground.
Are we gonna do a red heifer countdown?
Yeah, because if that thing gets burned, you know what? Here's my prediction: they're gonna burn that shit, and they're gonna tell you about it later.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
What if? Yeah, so we're on Eclipse watch, we're on heifer watch, we're on Matthew 12.
If they burn that shit at the eclipse, just grab your shit.
Bro, we got to get your go bags ready. All right, get your go bags
Get your shit ready.
UFO Intros also said, "How do I become a member, haters?" That's a great point. Shout out to Drama Alert and to Shan Nazba, our 2 members in the chat today. We love all our members. It's very easy. UFO Intros. I think you just click. There's on our page. It says become a member. I saw Zim was asking about that
the
too.
join button.
Join. Yes. And
shout out to our mods. Thank you guys for managing the chat. Much appreciated. Everybody here, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and reminder, go check out Jon Majerowski on the level, especially the John Luke, John Warner, Project Unity interviews, but honestly, all of them. If you love I love that thing. And Dark Journalist kind of does that thing too. The ufology, the weird occult secret society, the political things, and where all those kind of intertwine.
It's all wild. I want to point something out before we go. Look at this. Yes. You guys remember this?
Don't walk.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
What? Don't walk sign?
That's the sign when I was a kid, when you used to go to the crosswalk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but now it's just like a
red hand.
You know
Oh,
why?
shoot.
Because people can't fucking read.
Oh, wow.
The collapse of Western society in one sign, dude. In one sign.
It's don't walk, walk.
Dude.
Before that, it was like that, and it was just a dude like, yeah, but now you're not going to find that.
Nope. Now we're into hieroglyphics, dude.
But it's symbology. That's what I'm saying. We've entered into the stage where we know it's symbology, which is what everything really boils down to. When you look at it, everything is symbology. Right?
There's a bunch of ritual symbolism inside of all society, but we should get into that.
We got to do it. That's the next one.
Episode.
Yeah.
Symbology.
Within our real
Symbolism and symbology within the UFO
And
culture
ritual.
and rituals, dude.
You got it.
John.
You got it. I love you guys.
Love you
Seriously.
too, bro. All right. Good night, everyone in the chat. We'll have John on again for sure. Fun
Till
times.
next time.
Oh, we'll
Thanks
actually
for
see
joining.
you Monday, though, right? So we do Monday through Friday.
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
So we'll be off for 2 days, but it was a great first week, right, Chupa?
Oh,
this is the first week?
This is our first week.
Right?
Like, you
We're
helped
already a
like
staple.
roll us out. So it's a
This is going to be huge.
Right?
This is going to be
fun.
massive.
It's going to be lit. And we're gonna get the non-UFO people from like King's World too to like react to UFO stuff with us, you know. So it's gonna be really. Hopefully we help, and that's why we talk about the harassment stuff, right? Because you don't want to just be inviting people into this environment and be like, what? But yeah, first week.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear all the sides, man, and I'm really appreciative that you guys like. It's fucking rad that you guys did this. You guys didn't even tell me about this. You just did it, and like, hey, you want to come to my show? And I'm like, what show? And I'm like, what?
Surprise!
You guys got a rad show, and you got
actually have a hat.
yeah, dude. Did you make that? What's up with that, Red? Did you make that?
He sacrificed a red heifer.
No, there's a place that makes them on Etsy, and I did a custom one. I was just like combine the red fox hat with the most red and brown raccoon tail you have.
Dude, that is so rad.
That's a custom order.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're the shit for that. That's dope.
Yeah.
Dude, red. I would say that's the second red. That's the red heifer that got ejected. There's like one piece of yellow in there that they didn't want.
Perfect kind of color. When
Yeah. They got one piece of yellow. They're like, nope.
Yeah. All right, guys, we do have to go. I gotta eat. John, love you, bro.
Love you guys.
Good night, Tupa. Should we close
Good
out
night,
with the
guys.
trailer?
Yeah, put some crazy shit. You guys got some bumpers and some trailers. Pop that.
Pull up the
We
trailer
really
that
do.
Logan made.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, do
You guys are gonna look at. Actually, we'll just react to it live because this is. So good, dude.
Well, I'm gonna
This
help
is-
out. Wait, we're gonna do it. Just put it, like on the outro, like
Hey,
yesterday.
no, go eat, bro. You gotta go eat. Go do it.
All right, this is our first Skyfire commercial meant for the radio, but here it is.
Sick of the same old news that's more snooze than news? Then crank up the volume for Skyfire News, the only broadcast that's literally out of this world.
As an astrophysicist, I can tell you that the universe is full of mysteries, but with Skyfire, you can uncover some of those mysteries from your phone in your pocket.
I've tangoed with tales so top secret, they're stored on the dark side of the moon. Skyfire News, it's like they've hacked the galactic mainframe, serving up scoops so juicy, they make Area 51 look like a public library.
Is that Doty?
Unrivaled extraterrestrial expertise and interstellar insights.
Is that Doty?
Skyfire News brings you the latest from the final frontier. We're not just ahead of the curve. We're bending space-time.
Beautiful.
The Richard Doty in there.
John, audience, everybody in the chat, thank you so much. We're having you on again, John. That's
Yeah,
a
dude.
fact. All right.
Anytime you want to hang out, man, I'm down.
Oh, we're super down. Thanks again. I can't say thank you enough. Another amazing show, amazing week from you guys. Thanks for the support. Become a member, like and subscribe. At least turn those notifications on. Leave a comment for us if you like the first week of our show. If you want to be here for week 2, we're going to be here for you too. All right. UFO news every day. Thanks, John.
Love you guys. Bye.